What is up, everybody? Thank
Hey,
you
everybody.
again for joining us on Collection Wars. What's up, Michael? How you doing?
Man, Gabe, I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing really good, pal. Good to see you, man.
Good. It's great to see you, man.
Yeah,
We've, I appreciate you taking the time, Michael. I know,
yeah,
you're going through some stuff, and this is always kind of the happy place, and
that's right.
I'm glad to be part of that, and glad to be, kind of here today with you, man. I really, really do.
Man, yeah, 'cause you're my brother,
Yeah.
and everybody that's watching is my family. And I just, for those people that don't know, I wasn't going to do this, and Gabe, but if the people that don't know out there, my wife is fighting for her life right now with COVID. She's got COVID pneumonia, and she's been in the hospital now for 8 days, and she's struggling, but she's not getting worse. That's the good news. She's not getting worse, and she's maintaining. She's fighting like no tomorrow. And like the show today, I didn't know for sure if I was going to be able to do it. And my wife's like, go do this, go have fun, and just my all my collectibles and everything that I get in, I want to look at. Usually I experience that stuff with Denise, or her Barbies, and we do that
Right.
stuff. And it's just me and Haley right now, and it's so damn lonely here at the house. But it's Star Wars that keeps me happy. And I've been working a little bit on my models. Gabe,
Yeah.
check this out. So I got a lot of the stuff that maybe we can talk about midweek next week
Yeah.
on another show. But
Absolutely.
here's my 8D8 I've been working on.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, and now I'm working on my EV9 too. So he's
Oh, that's gonna be amazing,
yeah,
man.
it's really cool, man. So these keep in my mind,
Yeah.
just keep staying busy and everything. But everybody that's been reaching out, which is unbelievable amount of love coming from our viewers,
Yeah.
and I love every single one of you guys
Yeah.
because we are a family, right? And
Absolutely.
it keeps me going. And thanks for bringing that up, Gabe.
Yeah.
But I love you guys. And
Yeah.
she's gonna pull through this thing.
Yeah.
And the one last thing is we talked about it on the last episode. Our buddy Manny, his
Right.
wife is really fighting for her life, and me
Yeah.
and him have been collaborating quite a bit this week
Yeah.
on, and it kind of helps to have someone to talk to. But it's
Yeah.
exhausting. It's so
I
exhausting.
I know, man. But like I
So
said, I think it's great to have kind of this outlet, right? And we always talk about that, right? We talk about
yes,
how these collectibles are more than just, pieces of a collection, right?
that's right.
They are. There's something that kind of brings us this joy, this happiness,
Yeah,
and it's a great, a great hobby, and it's a great community, right?
it
And
is. It
Michael,
is.
we have 1,000 subscribers,
I
right?
know.
That's
Hey,
a big,
that awesome. We
yeah.
do. Yeah, that's
No,
so
and it's
awesome.
awesome. So the community has grown. We started with a small community, and it's starting to grow. And
That's right.
again, I think it's such a, we're trying to do everything such a positive,
That's right.
tone, and we're trying to keep everything so positive. And again,
Positive, honest,
yeah,
real, and that's what this is about. And it's just a matter of the words getting out about collection wars, and we're
right.
excited about it. Our
And it's
buddy Sean that we're going to have on tonight is a
that's what
perfect
I was gonna.
example.
That's what I was gonna say. Like meeting people like
Yeah,
from all walks of life, from different states, from different countries, from
yeah,
what I mean, just
yeah.
that all share the same passion.
That's
And
right.
guys, trust me, our next guest, Sean, I mean, his passion for Star Wars is up there. And his collection is also amazing. And I can't
Yes.
wait to show it with share it with you guys.
Yeah, Sean's he's kind of a private guy, like a lot of them out there. But when it comes to studio scale, this
Mhm.
guy is one of the elites, and he's known through the elite group, the Eatons
Yeah.
and the Salzos and the Nice, all the guys out there,
Yeah.
Elkins, man. But the thing is this stuff that he does is over the top. And it's one of a kind stuff, and you're not going to see a lot of it out there. So,
Yeah.
and you know what? He's going to be showing us on the show. He's going to be, for the first time, there's a very few people that know about it, but he's going to reveal his newest studio scale, which is absolutely badass. And I'm real excited to show everybody.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
So I guess without further ado, let's bring
Let's
on Sean.
let's bring on Sean.
Hey Sean,
Hey guys,
What's up, brother?
how are you? Thank you
I,
so much for joining us, Sean. Really
absolutely. Thank you
appreciate it.
guys.
Man, you got the old goatee thing happening, buddy
Yeah.
boy. Man,
Yes. Yeah. just reminds me of just how old I'm getting. Actually, I'm black hair again, but yeah.
You know,
you do a Riker look, and then I said, you know what? That's Star Trek. We got to focus on Star Wars. So,
Gabe, let me just tell you, it's kind of funny, but the first time I met Sean, this was like the first time we met. We ended up sharing a room together. It was crazy, and
wonderful.
And one thing that you can remember and you'll never forget it is how much I snored. Is that correct?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I don't sleep great anyway. And Michael just took that away from me, and I just gave up. So.
This poor guy, So it was me and Salzo and Sean. We were all three, and I warned him. I warned him, but
you did.
But Sean didn't care because he was on a mission. He was working on the cockpit of his 5-foot Falcon, and these nerd balls that we were at Wonderfest, and everybody was geeking out that whole time. So nobody really cared.
That was such a great weekend. That was just a lot of fun and just interacting with everybody. So
that's right, man. Meeting new friends for sure.
Yeah.
So Sean, obviously, this is something we always love to ask everyone that joins us, and So obviously, you're a Star Wars fan, you're a sci-fi fan. What got you kind of that passion? What sparked that passion as a kid? To get involved in that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think probably like a lot of us, I was 10 years old when Star Wars came out at the theaters, and there was a lot of other some sci-fi. I mean, there was like what was it, Space Academy, I think it was, and Scotty was in that. You had the Star Trek reruns we were watching, which really got me first going into sci-fi and all the space. And just, I've always still been a lifelong Star Trek fan as well. But, man, I just remember that summer of 77 when Star Wars came out and seeing it for the first time. And then just like, I got to just keep going around and around and watch it, And I want to say I saw it 13 or 15 times that summer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And, you just the imagination, the story, just everything that attracted us to Star Wars, was there for me as a kid. And it just hooked me. And I think shortly after that, then Battlestar Galactica came out, and the model world kind of hit me during the 79, 80 when Galactica came out, and they released like the Viper and the Cylon Raider model kits. And I remember doing that through like a Starlog magazine, in mail order back in the day.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and it came in, and so I built those models, and it was really a matter of just like hand painting the orange stripes, but I didn't even know anything about painting models. And that just then kind of developed, over the years. Then more kits came out, and AMT or MPC came out with the Star Wars line of models, the smaller X-Wing and, some of those, and just got me going. And then I learned about airbrushing. I think around 16, I was lucky to get a job at a hobby store.
Wow.
And that's what really triggered that next level of model building, was learning about airbrushes, and mixing paints and just kind of, took off from there. And so but I was always a model kit builder, that was all I ever did. And then the moment that really got me into the stuff you see behind me here and these, make these bigger models, I want to say it would have been maybe early 2000s. And you guys may know a guy named Jim Key, who had a company called Custom Replicas. And he offered a 66-inch original Star Trek Enterprise as kind of a kit. And it was just off the charts in cost. And I just saved up, bought it, and it took like 2 years to build. And, you had to learn to use Bondo, and sanding and painting. But at the end of the day, it was like, oh man, this is the realm of possible in model building. Yeah. So that kind of hooked me into the big world. And then I'll just fast forward, a little bit more, was then I started meeting folks, the internet came online, meeting groups like the RPF, and Starship Modeler was a popular one. And then shows like Wonderfest, I'd learned about. I'd go to those. And it was really meeting people. And then I find out about the studio scale scratch building world. And I caught the bug. And I started that in 2006 with the Battlestar Galactica, an accurate recreation of the filming miniature of the Galactica. That was like a 3-year endeavor, and learned a lot, acquired a lot of model kits. And then you learn, hey, a lot of the model kits on that was built on the Galactica from the same model shop that Star Wars was. So now I got a bunch of model kits that I can use as parts on Star Wars models. Mm-hmm. And then from there, just went to building, some of the bigger models we'll cover today. And I've reverted pretty much strictly to just building models from scratch with the occasional kit when it's just killing you and you need some easy stuff. So that's kind of a summary of how I got from there to here.
That's amazing. That's awesome. I mean, I love the fact that you stuck to model making since you were a kid and kind of all that. Because, people transition, they go from collecting stuff. Like, did you ever collect the figures?
I sure did. I'm one of those, probably like you guys. I had all those action figures, what was that when they gave you the card, right? They didn't have the figures, and we had to order
the early bird thing.
I was part of that, and then I had that whole, wasn't it like a Darth Vader case and all the little action figures in the Vader case? I mean, I had that, all those playing cards, and like all of us too, why they're so valuable. Somewhere along the line, I lost all of them.
You know what I noticed? This is completely off, and I'll be real brief about this, but me and Haley were watching in the movie room Poltergeist the other day, and I like seeing all the little vintage Star Wars toys in the little kids' room. And the Darth Vader case in there has red eyes. And I've never understood why the Darth Vader case has red eyes, because they don't have red eyes. Yeah. So if anybody's watching the show, this is going to be a recorded show. I would like to know.
But anyway. That's awesome. Yeah. So obviously, with the vintage figures, that we always talk about that that's kind of like the gateway, right? That got us into collecting and opened up our imagination. But with you, I think the model making was really the big.
Absolutely. There's so much, it's really hard to describe to people who don't build in the style that some of us that do studio scale building do, but it does, I think, two real core things. Number one, it always makes me feel like I'm that 10-year-old kid, no matter what. I just feel young, but it's also my Zen place, if you will. I'll build a model for a couple hours, putting parts together, and I realize I have no music in the background, no TV even. You just get so laser focused on building. And there's just something that is just so wonderful about that feeling, just building models and just being in your own little universe. You
don't build with music, huh? No music?
Then it hits me, and then I got to go turn on some music.
Yeah, because I was going to say, man, Salsa was jamming out in the background.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, dude, what are you jamming out to? Whatever it takes, he's doing good on the Destroyer.
Exactly. Yeah. But Gabe, like, I look behind you, and holy cow, what an awesome collection just with those helmets. Yeah. And the other, and I've been catching up on some of your episodes, and you just got such an amazing collection. And I love that we're here just all different with the same passion. Yep. However, that we may or may not share. I've gotten into collecting a little bit of those helmets. I love some of those helmets too, and it was inspired by you. And some of these guys that I'm like, they're just fun to have, right? I mean, there's something about building, but there's just that. Looking at some of those helmets, the stormtroopers and the Vader, that's exciting too,
That's cool.
So I love all that stuff.
That's cool.
No, I absolutely no. Thank you for saying that. I think that's what it is. It's looking at something and kind of putting you back right as your 10-year-old self and thinking, my God, I have this. Like I'm looking at like a life-size thing that I dreamt about as a kid of holding, and now I'm like looking at it, and it's such an amazing feeling.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, with R2, I see an R2 behind you. There's an R2 behind me. I think you've got R2 and 3PO there, Michael. I mean, it's just that alone. I mean, and when you an R2D2 in person is big, right?
Yes, it is.
That's bigger than you realize.
Yeah.
So, it's fun.
Yeah. And actually, speaking of the building, so I actually built mine myself. I'm part of the R2 Builders Club.
Okay.
And, it took me a couple years to build it. And I think that was actually also a very, very satisfying thing for me to, honestly, just as a person, right? As a grown adult, for me to kind of take the dive and try to build something. I mean, it's using Bondo, like said, and like figuring out just like the little things. And once I finished it, it boosted my confidence as far as like, oh, well, now I could do anything around the house. Like my wife's like, oh, we need a new, thing around the chimney. Oh, I'll do it. We need a new, break down this wall. I'll do it. Like I'm
That's
not
so
a
good.
builder. And that's funny because that's what I actually say. Every time I come up with like a little, like, or I do a project out, I'm like, don't worry, I'm an R2 builder. I got this.
Well, I'll tell you real quick though too. I don't know if you knew this, but that R2 behind me, same thing. I joined that R2 Builders Club,
Nice.
and you know that gosh, what was his name? Was it Darren? Whoever did that aluminum spun dome? You know, it started.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was a lot of work, right? Cutting out all the panels and sanding and filing. But like you said, at the end, it is rewarding. It's a project and a half, but it's rewarding. So that's so great. I didn't realize you built that too. So good job.
Yeah.
For
and
sure.
I actually went old-fashioned way, and I did styrene skin. So I actually sat there and cut the layers and the wooden legs. And the only thing that's aluminum is the dome and like a lot of the parts.
Yeah.
The
nice.
frame and the thing. So
that's great.
So let's jump into some of your models, because I mean these are crazy amazing.
Wow, thank you.
And we have to just jump in. And I think I'm trying to think of where to start, and I think maybe we'll just start with the Y-wing.
Sure. Oh yeah. That's the most recent too. So that'd be
Is
great.
it the most recent? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, almost the most recent. We got one
Almost.
after. Yeah.
All right. Let me get started here. Let me jump on these. Now there's a little video clip which we'll watch after, but give me a second. Here we go. So here, oh man, look at that. Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. So what can you tell us about
so that particular picture there, we're just looking at the original, the studio scale 1/24 Y-wing is in my hand. And then the completed model I built is this 2x studio scale that, you know, I recreated, but used a lot of the exact same details, if you will, of the original filming miniature, just double sized it.
Yeah. That's what I have right here.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And I should say, thanks for that, Michael, that, you know, Mike Salzo, who I think, you know, put yours together.
Yep.
When I saw that at Wonderfest, was absolutely my inspiration. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, Salzo, that just knocked it out of the park, and someday I want to do it. And we'd talked off and on over the years. Well, now, of course, the 3D printing technology, and my friend Ryan, who had got one of these new resin printers. And so he just went out one day and got like a 3D head model and printed just the head. And when I saw the size of that, and I'm like, oh yeah, we can do this. We just went from there, and then I just took it and printed a lot of my own with the Creality, the structure. And another guy, Falcon 3D Parts, a guy named Gus, he 3D printed a lot of the Greeblies because he'd already modeled those for studio scale Y-wing. So I just had him double that. And so thanks to, as always, with a lot of my projects, I'm able to show you guys and share with you something that is just couldn't happen without all these awesome people helping out.
Yeah, that's cool you mentioned that, Sean. That's for sure. It's nice when everybody can collaborate together to make things a reality, because we all share the same passion. There's a few people out there that you don't want to do that, you know, keep things to themselves. And, you know, luckily our little band of model builders, you know, aren't that way, man. So.
No, and I love the fact that, look, that, because, you know, we talk about this, how this model building is kind of becoming a lost art, right? It's kind of, there's not a lot of people that kind of acquire these skills, right? And it's a very small handful. But I love the fact that, you know, it's adapting to the current technology, which, like you said, like the resin 3D printing, which is an amazing technology. Why not take advantage of it, right? And use it.
I swore I would never use 3D parts, and I still don't on a lot of my studio scale exact replicas as much as possible. But this just showed the art of possible now. It's incredible.
Yeah. And there's more to it. Anybody can 3D print, but to finish up with the details and your knowledge and the reference, that's what it's all about. Because I wondered what was going to happen with 3D printing too, Sean. And I mean, the best of you guys are doing 3D prints. I mean, you know, and I don't have a problem with it at all. You know, it's nice to still be able to go back old school, but, you know, this is able to make it that much more detail, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And so that's just a kind of in progress construction in the shop, and, you know, testing out some lighting and doing different, if I can change the colors of the engines, that will you know, and mount it from different mounts. So yeah, that's just kind of a near completion in production there.
And look at the cockpit. Is that what I'm seeing? Look, the detail in the cockpit. I never realized it was so detailed in there.
So real quick story on that too, Gabe. And I don't know, I didn't probably send you any cockpit pics, but what I tried to do there though was the studio scale cockpit is quite different than how that looks. And I went to the film, you know, I took a screenshots and then there's a picture of the set. And I tried to recreate that is very close to what the actual full size set looked like.
That looks great.
The actors were in versus the model for just the cockpit.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
thanks for zooming. That's cool.
Looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then again, it's just kind of getting a sense of scale inside of shop. You know, kind of mounted vertically. We call them the T-Struts, right? Which are the things that extend past the engine, and they're going to hold those ends of the engine. To make mine really structurally solid, I actually found some aluminum T-channel, and so that's actually aluminum that I had to have hand cut and then shaped a little bit, but it gives a lot of rigidity there on the engine, so that was a lot of fun.
And the filming model had the access to the mounts, correct? Because I see you have the rear mount and underneath, where this one's just underneath. So I love that. To be able to do that display, that's cool. That thing's huge.
Yeah.
Until you see this thing in person, look at my head. These things are huge.
Yeah.
So these are the only two in existence. That's what I know for a fact.
So I haven't seen anyone else pop up on them yet. I got some friends working on them, but
So yours is also double scale, Michael. It's the same scale, both of them.
Yeah, Sean would know more than me.
Yeah, it is. It's. And like you said, Sal, but again, let's give credit to Salzo there. He just built that from scratch. He sculpted the head. Yeah. He just figured all that out, where I had to cheat a little bit by going a lot of my structure to 3D printing, but that thing's huge. Yeah, there you go. Look at the size of that cockpit. It's just huge. So just another, you can keep moving, and the other thing you're kind of seeing in there is I just did a lot of that dirty weathering, right? Yeah. I tried to just make it look greasy and oily and really just like it's been through hell and back.
Yeah, I love the weathering. I love to weather them up good.
I just love how like all the little groovies are just like packed in there. It just like it gives it such a realistic look. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's legit. They knew what they were doing when they were doing these.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of a nice angle there.
So beautiful.
I love the weather. Yeah, the paint job is amazing.
That thing's damn near 4 feet in length, right?
It is. I believe it is just at maybe 46, right there, right about 4 feet. But in one of my other inspirations for this too, by the way, was the paint job itself, especially the head and those two engines, are 100% again based on that full scale set. When you see them getting ready to do the attack on the Death Star. I just wanted to try to recreate that. The only difference is, if you remember, the cockpit though was white and the models were blue. So I made that adjustment to the filming miniature. But all that weathering and detailing you see is I tried to recreate it exactly as you saw it on the full scale Y-wing there.
Beautiful. Man.
Thanks.
Yeah, when it comes to details, this guy doesn't spare the expense. That's for sure.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a combo of the topics we talked about, right? But with the 6 foot galactic back there and a little, Star Trek thing that my mom actually did a latch hook artwork of that, 20 years ago. So
that's so cool. You have it still. Dude, that Galactica is so badass.
Thank you.
Michael, I knew Michael was going to
Yeah, Sean knows already. He knows. Yeah. He's feeling me.
And isn't that such a great angle there? That is just classic. There's a brief scene where that thing's coming at you like that. I just love that angle.
Yeah, that's badass.
So cool. And then and so that's part of the display room. Michael and I were talking. I think Michael, I was kind of in the middle of making my room when we were talking.
Yeah, when we first met.
Showed me the picture of the wall behind you.
Yeah,
and that was just like, I got to do that, but I got to have a little bit of fun with it. And so I went so crazy, Gabe. You might get a kick out of this. Is that so that that is the opening sequence of the movie, right? The original Star Wars. And I found a good high res picture of Tatooine there, and spent stupid amount of money at a print shop just to make the planet. I mean, because that thing's 12 feet long.
Yeah.
And then I put a little light strip for that atmosphere behind it, but
which is beautiful.
Where I went crazy is all that star pattern you see up there. I matched every star from the door all the way to the right. I matched every star to the screen frame. Like that
Told you,
like
Gabe, he's got a problem.
Yeah.
And it's just for him, though. Just for him. Nobody else would ever freaking know. But.
No, but I'm the same, Michael. Remember, I mean, that's how I am. Like I love seeing the tiny, and again, that it goes to show the passion, and that I mean, I appreciate that so much.
Thanks.
You know, the fact that you took the time to do it.
Just looking at the little section, the ass end of the Falcon and the tattooing with the light and the stars, just that one little, area.
Yeah.
It looks like a click out of the movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that was the hope and intent there.
So you make the bases yourself, Sean?
Yeah, I do. Okay. Well, now, so the base in the foreground there, you know, that's just like, gosh, I want to say like maybe MDF painted black.
That's
little,
okay.
You know,
that's
metal
right,
pipe.
I do the same.
And then the table's like I think 2 IKEA boxes because I'm still figuring out a table. But that one that the Star Destroyer's on, I built that completely out of MDF. You know, just wanted something that you could have enough space but not too much. But that Star Destroyer is kind of cantilevered as well weight wise. So you know you need a pretty good size structure for a base.
Right.
Beautiful. And we also got a little. Let me pull it up. Little video that you sent, and that's kind of.
Oh yeah.
Look at the background, all those damn model kits. Bitch.
A lot of model
those just look cool. That's his favorite part of the whole thing, probably just all those model boxes.
Look at the little gear. I just noticed on the left. Those are they like airplane control?
They are. Yeah, a lot of surplus aircraft, panels. Communication. Yeah, there you go. Like the navigation panel, and then comms panels, and yeah. If I see those cheap on eBay, it's fun to build because someday I want to make a little cockpit replica.
Yeah,
but
that's so damn cool.
Yeah, thanks.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's so badass, man.
I know, man.
This is a fun show, man. I love it.
It is. You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's move on to the I call it AT-AT, Michael. AT-AT or AT-AT?
I call it AT-AT.
I call it AT-AT.
AT-AT. Yeah, it's always so funny with Star Wars fans, like how you pick. You know, it's like
I've always called it an AT-AT.
Yeah.
All right, let me get these up really quick.
So this will be a. I think you've got the same build as well, Michael, don't you? This is another masterpiece from Mike Salzo.
Yep.
It was, but I don't think we have near much as construction. But again, Mike Salzo created the most incredible kit, if you will, of this thing, and it sits like 3 feet tall, I think, Michael.
Yeah, it's a little bit more. Yeah, it's huge.
It's deceiving how big it is. And I just told Michael, I saw this at Wonderfest many years ago, and I said, Salzo, I need that someday. And gosh, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, he hooked me up with the kit. It sat a little longer, and then I just finally said, I got to get building this thing, and it was just a ton of fun.
Did he send you the armature, or did you create your own?
No, he sent me the armature, pretty much everything, you need.
That thing's heavy freaking duty, dude.
Stupid heavy, but I'm glad he did, right? It makes it really solid.
Yeah. And it was awesome what he did. I don't know if hopefully did you do close-ups of the snow speeder?
I think
look at that. That's so badass.
Love that.
I did mine too. I just don't have a guy jumping. I love the smoke. That's so beautiful.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I tried to just, capture that moment, right? I mean, time it right before Luke jumps out. That foot's just about on him.
Yeah.
He does that last little grab and jumps clear, and
that's unbelievable. That's my favorite, the dioramas. Man. I love it.
That's cool. And is the little Luke, is that something you created, or is that Mike?
Yeah. Oh, thanks for asking. Yeah, it is. So that was like a I forget. I think a Harrier pilot, because the Harrier was a model kit used in a lot of the Star Wars builds.
Okay.
So I started with just the basic Harrier figure, but then I heated up his legs and I bent them, and then the arms, and then I got epoxy sculpt, and I wound up sculpting the boots, the gloves, his vest, and sculpted a lot of that. And then I made his little gray belts are made out of paper and painted the paper. I scratch built his little lightsaber there that was dangling. It was kind of a combination. Start with the kit, scratch build the figure.
That's
I
called
love it.
details.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing, and it's awesome because especially like the boots, right? They're like
Yeah.
they're you can't mistake them. They're the
I did a lot of screenshots staring. I mean, even down to the it's kind of hard to see in that little like back window, but you'll see the glass is actually cracked.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I've got the cracks in the glass just like you did, and I used a compact disc, the clear plastic in a compact disc, and I just broke them to size, and then I could score with a razor blade the little scratches, and that kind of looked like broken glass there. So,
Jeez.
yeah,
That's awesome. And see those little techniques, that's again, it's something that you can only learn from doing it, right? From like experience. It's crazy.
it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Beautiful.
But yeah, this is just an impressive, setup. I mean, you can see there's a studio scale helmet kind of sitting back there, so it gets you an idea of that size.
Yeah,
there. So it's big, and again, a custom made kind of base. I was inspired again by Michael though. When I saw his, I liked that just elegant look of that blackwood base.
Yeah.
And then filled in the snow, and it's just great. It's real easy to kind of move around if you need to.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I love that. I love the Rogue One poster too. That's probably one of my favorite Star Wars posters.
Isn't that a good poster?
Yeah.
The little things sticking out by the poster will make sense later. That looks a little if you don't know what you're looking at there. That looks,
oh, that's hilarious. I didn't.
Wow.
That was his neighbor who came over that was so excited.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not a naked man standing outside the picture there, I promise you.
That's freaking hilarious, Gabe.
I know. Is there a Rancor, a very excited Rancor somewhere?
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. It's not a man. It's a Rancor back there. Now, there you go.
Look at
Oh,
that.
there.
I get it right there. The Tauntaun. Wow.
Yes.
That's
nice.
awesome.
Yeah. And it just looks so beautiful next to the AT-AT, especially this
looks
shot.
real.
I mean, this
is thing looks so damn real. It's crazy.
It's so perfect. And then with the AT-AT there, you'll kind of see in that backlighting I added, I tried to do the photo kind of oversaturates it, but you got those three pilots in there, the guy in the center, and then there's two. And so you kind of get that silhouette, and it just looks great in person.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah. And there's just, kind of that. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Salzo's just such a talented guy to make kits like this available to builders like us.
He's kind of out of that now. He's not really messing with that stuff. We're the lucky ones, so it's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it, man.
So, thanks. Yeah, those are fun.
And the AT-AT is just, man, it's just one of my favorite ships. And
isn't it?
It is. And especially, I've only seen, obviously, this is the second one that I've seen at this scale. And because obviously Michael's, and it just, every time I'm just like, oh my, I wish I had not only the space, but like, it just, I could only imagine the scale, the size. You know what I mean? Like, because I have the master replica one. And I mean, obviously, this is way bigger than that.
But Gabe, I won't lie, that was one of my inspirations again too. I had seen that master replicas before I'd even seen the Salzo and I built one.
Yeah.
And I was like determined I was going to get a master replicas. And when I was getting close, then I was like, oh, hey, bigger. All right, but I love that master replicas. That thing is just a piece of art in itself.
I like it too. I love that one actually. Yeah.
Perfect, man. I love this. All right, so let's move on to. Should we kind of go big or go home? No, let you tell me, Sean. You tell me what should I go next? Should I do?
Why don't we hit the Star Destroyer?
Let's do the Star Destroyer. There you go. Give me a quick second. Let's give them a little teaser, and then show. Let's show them built, and then we'll kind of go through your process.
Sure.
Let's.
It's amazing the process. He put a lot of heart and soul in that one.
Yeah,
that is a complete scratch built piece there.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and that was one of my favorite pictures. Setting that shot up.
Jeez.
So to the viewers out there, that's what says replica. That is Sean's build. I mean, 100%. I mean, if you can see something that's a little bit different, please put a comment because there is none.
Jeez.
Man,
Yeah, I think the only difference, of course, they never physically had the blockade runner in the landing bay, you know, and I had to add that in there. You just kind of got to remember that. But
what is it?
you know,
The blockade runner, you see it right
Oh,
there?
the blockade runner in there.
yeah,
Oh,
Princess
yeah.
Leia's ship in the landing bay. So we'll see when we go through some more. Maybe I think you'll see the crane, and there was a crane in there. We'll get to, but I just had to add Princess Leia's ship in there, you know. So,
Oh, for sure.
so the beauty, go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I was just going to ask you that blockade runner, because it's a 4 foot. So what scale, what did you use for the blockade runner?
It was Bandai had that little blockade runner kit. Maybe was it 1/1200 scale? I can't remember the exact scale, but it was just the little Bandai snap tight blockade runner, and it was perfect fit in there. So
yeah, it's cool.
So what I love, like a shot like this, and you saw in the previous of the original and in the show, was, you know, when you think of what the model builders, when they built this to get the sense of scale, the model has this deliberate taper of that trench, if you will, on the side, where it's tall at the nose, and you can see how narrow it gets to the back. And, you know, that was their brilliance in designing this model to give it a sense of that, you know, half a mile or mile long scale.
Yeah.
Of that,
what do they call that? What do they call that?
Forced perspective.
Yep. Did they do that with the 8-footer or no?
They didn't. It was really
I didn't
strange.
think so.
The 8-footer does not have it. It's just this original 4-footer.
Yeah.
But,
wow,
you know,
man, I didn't even notice that till you said something.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's just one of those subtle things, you know, that we don't catch that does it. And so, you know, here on the bridge, this is every model kit part you saw in that earlier video with my shells of model kits. You know, it had to find through the help of a bunch of guys to identify, you know, on boards like the RPF, just this, you know, group of people that help identify all the model kits on the original. And so, yeah, when I built that, the whole bridge is built out of styrene from scratch. And then, you know, the big ad I did there, though, was that, if you will, that antenna or radar dish on the top. I was fortunate to get some references of how the model looked back in '76 when they filmed it, because the model today does not have that original antenna array up there. So I was fortunate to recreate that wonderful detail up there as well.
Yeah, I've been working with Salzo this week. He's been in touch with me. Wow, that back looks totally different too. But we were going over the paint colors. You know, he's very respectful, asking me my opinion on the paint schemes and whatnot. And people don't probably realize until they're looking like at this model how white it really is compared to what you see on the film. It looks a little darker.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, they really. But this particular model was pretty white with just some of those panels you'll see in a minute, but. I do want to point out, though, when we say scratch built, a lot of this is scratch built, especially all the parts. None of it was, you know, castings and things. However, the basic structure of this model was actually designed by Charles Adams, and then him and Steve Nyson, you know, they teamed up and collaborated together, and it's their Star Destroyer that's on display at the launch bays at Disneyland and Disney World.
Oh, nice.
And it was when I had gone out there and I saw this, I'm like, oh, I got to have that. And so I reached out to them. And they were just amazing to help me to get the basic dimensions, you know, supported me with getting the materials to make the, if you will, the armature and the substructure. And that was just, if you will, for the triangle shape. And then I went and took a lot of those dimensions, scratch built, you know, the superstructure and the bridge and all that. But those guys, again, this model wouldn't happen if it weren't for Charles Adams and Steve Nyson.
Yeah, that's cool.
And a lot of my other friends that helped with IDs, you know, like Craig Underwood and Jason and Ed, and I mean, just a bunch of wonderful guys that helped out.
Beautiful. And that's the great thing that I've kind of started, because, you know, I'm not as involved obviously in the studio scale world, but that's the great part that I'm getting, this sense of community. It is a sense of community, and I know some are not, but I mean, for the most part, you know, builders like to help each other out on locating parts.
It's a lot of collaboration. You know, you just can't build these things on an island. The difference is I just work fast. I'm like, my time's valuable, so I'll just get in there and, you know, I just can get, you know, grumpy sometimes. Like, can someone please help with this? But that crowdsourcing and, you know, using your friends to help you get there, that's how you get there. You couldn't do this stuff by yourself. Yeah, I mean, isn't that great? Look at that.
Look, that thing's freaking badass, dude.
Look at that.
I love that shit,
I've
man.
always wondered. I mean, so what are these? What are the bells? Is that like a trade secret, or is it like something that's like kind of well known? Like
those engine bells on this 4-foot model are legs eggs. If you remember the pantyhose from the 70s and 80s, you may be a little young.
No, yeah, no,
right here.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. They used them on the Y-wing.
See right here?
Oh,
those are legs pantyhose right here.
Yep.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yep. Imagine that Y-wing engine and just flip it around. They used one of the caps of the legs eggs, and that is exactly what they used. And then they put like little T-channel styrene to get you that ribbing. But yeah, that's a great question. Those are a lot of people are legs eggs, and then those 4 smaller concentric circle engines.
Mm-hmm.
Those are little measuring cups. They're the little plastic measuring cups that you do for painting or, doing molding and casting, but those are actually measuring cups.
So is it hard, Sean, to find? I mean, I know it all. Yeah, I know the answer, but because I'm real curious. Like on this build here, was it hard for you? Did you get like the measuring cups that they used back in the 70s? Were those still available, or did you have to reference and find those somewhere?
So that's such a great question, Michael. I spent probably 3 months trying to source those because they are unique to the 70s. The modern ones, they're close in size and diameter, but not exact. Bottom line is, I thought I had it. I got some in. They still weren't quite right. So I reached out to a friend that happened to have one and got it molded and casted. And so they wound up being castings of the original 77 cool. Measuring cups because I wanted that level of accuracy. But unfortunately, I couldn't find the originals.
Yeah. Kind of like Jason Eaton last week when he was talking about how he gets frustrated. Table flip.
Yeah, Jason was talking about the tape, right? He was talking about this like the like a little circle of a tape dispenser from the 1970s, and it was just like impossible to find.
Oh gosh. I remember when I was building that Galactica too, by the way, there's a bear cap. No kidding. The model builders put a bear cap under the engine inside it, and somebody figured out the exact brand of beer it was, and I wound up getting a casting of it. But I can't believe someone spent the time to research the beer cap.
See how these guys are, Gabe? That's ridiculous.
No,
he's one of them. Sean's one of those guys, though.
But that's again, that's amazing. Like obviously with studio scale stuff, I mean, it is just a whole nother level because obviously with the replica stuff, obviously, the guns and, maybe not so much the helmets, but a lot of the guns and the lightsabers, they're found parts. You have to know, where they're sourced from, but not to this level. Like a little microscopic little, thing. Yeah.
There are literally thousands of model kits when you start to add it up. And like you said, some of them are little tiny parts from maybe one model kit. Yeah. And, you spend a lot of money to go buy that one model kit for that one part, but it's obsessive.
Just this cluster right here. It's just like crazy.
Yeah. There is a lot going on. And then of course the lighting it there was just a lot of fun. Today's technology using these LED lights that you'll see if you go to the next.
Now, Sean, before we move on, so are the scores all like hand scored them? Like,
man, you've got some great observation skills, my friend.
Yeah.
They are almost all on this model, and they were on the original. They're almost all hand drawn.
Yeah.
So
they use pencil.
Yeah, on the bottom there's some scribes and there's some some of that's embedded in it, and like the bottom layer of all this structure is an acrylic structure, and so I did have some of the primary lines very lightly scribed out by a laser machine, but so what you're looking at right there in the center, this kind of raised thinner panel. Mm-hmm. All of that you see is a combination of scribing. So that is my own sheet styrene on there, and then I had to take a metal ruler and hand scribe those, and then I would then run a pencil on top of those hand scribe lines. So
it gives it depth.
A lot of that is manual. Yeah, it gives it a lot of depth.
Wow.
I've learned all that pretty much in the last week. Well, when he did the Death Star Salzo, but he's been doing a lot of that on the underbelly of the 8-footer, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and you'll see. So like this is another good example there too, where you see some of those scribes and those pencil lines. Now, again, it was Charles Adams in particular who did an amazing job, spent a lot of time researching these panel layouts. So these panel lines, I kind of had a template and a guide to follow to get these right. But I just can't imagine the time that he spent trying to recreate the exact positioning of all these lines, let alone what I had to spend, drawing them in. But
I mean, let me just point something out to our viewers. In this picture that you're looking at, the amount of detail, I mean, from the scribing to the stars behind it, right? I mean, the level of precise detail that just in this image is just mind blowing.
Right out of the movie.
It does. It was even the hangar bay lights, right? So you'll notice like a subtlety. This picture does it well, where the engine is kind of that pure white. There was a little bit of that blue tint, remember, in the film, and this these cool white LEDs project that. But the hangar bay, I used a warmer LED, right, to give you more of that warm incandescent glow like we did on the original. I know we'll look at a few more, but that was so fun, just making that slight nuance difference, because those color shifts do give a sense again of of change of depth and scale. So,
wow, look at that!
Isn't that cool? And there was that, like there's that little ring of light forward of the legs egg. That ring of light's actually there. If you go slow in the few frames you see it, you'll see that light leaking through both that very thin ring on the outer. But yes, that one. They were both there the way they did it. So even recreating that, is a lot of
It's probably something that they didn't intend.
Exactly.
You guys caught it in a couple frames of it. Which is,
It blows me away, though, that there is quite a bit in the back end, and then like where the trash chute is from the 8-footer versus the 4-foot. There's quite a bit of difference in detail.
There sure is. Yeah, and that's just so much fun. It's just such a
great shot
model. Yeah, thanks. And then just without the lights on, just so you can kind of see into the engines there.
Yeah, I didn't even know it's like the honeycomb looking.
Exactly. Yeah. They were well known. They used a lot of honeycomb like material. The Galactica, you see it very obvious in the engines, but they did it for. I think the main reason they did it was if you're off. Angle from looking straight in, the honeycomb kind of keeps that glare away, right? So they could get off angle and wouldn't get that flooded light into them.
Yeah, they did that, and obviously the R2 builders. Yeah, we use that a lot to diffuse the LEDs.
Great, what a great segue, Gabe, because that's kind of exactly what I did here. Now to be fair, that was my interpretation where I use that R2 methodology for this when the engine's off, but my engines are rarely off when I'm showing it. Because on the original model, they were halogen bulbs. And,
they were hot.
That's why there's a lot we could talk about, too, about how these models had fans and vents because these models got so hot. Well, today's world, I'm using LED technology, right? So that was an opportunity to put a little bit of my own flair into that engine, and I keyed off that R2D2 hex thing. So great catch there. That's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, look at that. I mean, it just.
Did they use any red lighting on the New Hope version? They didn't, did they?
The New Hope has the only lighting on this model on the original are these 3 engines and then the landing bay. That is it. Even that smaller landing bay, which we'll see again in a minute, but there's a smaller forward one. They actually used a little mirror and light to reflect up to make that bay look like it was lit. But it was actually an external lighting. I obviously can't do a mirror, to my model, so I wound up lighting it because I wanted to do that. So
for sure, that's the way it was tended to be lit in there. Yeah. We were talking. Me and Sean were talking this morning about because I've been really paying attention to the Star Destroyer, and I was watching A New Hope last night when I was going to bed, my comfort movie, and at the beginning I was paying attention slow-mo of watching that thing go over, which everybody remembers, but there's a lot of people don't realize there's another like little bay underneath in the front area, and the way it looks, it's shadows. Sean was saying, and I never thought they were shadows. I thought they were actually cut in grooves because I was wondering why is that different from my 8-footer, and he was saying, well, because of the way the understructure is, it creates that shadow. Is that right?
Yep, exactly right. Yeah.
And I never knew that. That's awesome.
So one other interesting thing here, Gabe, on this picture and the other one that you just had, Yeah, there you go. Zoom a little bit. So kind of, if you can bring your mouse to the right of those, you see those 4 guns.
Yeah.
And then to the right of that, all the way kind of the right, there's those 4 like circles, and that's a valve engine. Kind of, it's under that superstructure. Yeah, right there. So that's like one of these cool examples where that's an engine from a Ferrari model kit, right?
Yeah.
And but the reason I just point this particular detail out is if you look at the model today and as it's traveled around through shows, none of those parts on that lower superstructure exist today on the model. They moved them to the other side and they're gone and all that. One of my objectives with this model was to recreate as it was in 76. So I kind of restored it, even from the current model today, to how it actually looked when they filmed it in 76. So those are the accurate kit parts during filming, not how you would see the model today.
Now,
Yeah, those traveling models have been destroyed.
Sean, is this, and it looks very familiar, is this the same one they use in the front of the Falcon?
That's very similar. Very, very similar. Same kit, but it's a part right next to it. But yes, that's a great eye again. Yeah, well,
see, Michael, I think I'm gonna have to just dive into the studio.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
It's there, man. It's there.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
So there you go. There's that Bandai blockade runner in there, and then you'll see that little hangar bay up above where I got that little bit of lighting in there where they actually reflected it in. But yeah, that is just, and that model, that Bandai kit just fits perfectly in there. You know, it could probably be a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch smaller, but it's still good enough to just
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Look at that. That looks so cool.
Isn't that
I
cool?
love that detail.
And even that, you know, it's hard to convey in this scale for you guys. Like, so to the right of the head is the crane. You know, you see that crane in that opening shot too. And this was a little model kit in itself, and that is like a little bit bigger than the size of your thumb. It is that small with all those little parts. And my good friend Craig Underwood, he identified like the 6 or 12 model kits that just went into that crane. And so it was so satisfying just to recreate that little crane, and it's just such a big help. But isn't that lighting cool? Just the way they designed that too.
I love it.
Man.
That looks so cool. And I mean, even the detail on the little Bandai thing too, like it just looks so cool the way it's lit, like just the shadows on it.
Yeah, it was a happy, you know, and I did some weathering and painting right to it to make it, but you're right, that's why I had to get it in there, because that lighting, I think that next picture you got there too really shows kind of that good, you know, it's a little bit out of focus, but it is, that bay just lights that thing up perfectly.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
Man, that's so cool.
Yeah, what a great job.
So now this, I mean, next to the 5-foot Falcon.
Yeah.
Jesus. Now I was lucky enough to see the 5-foot Falcon when it was doing the traveling show. What was it called? Something magic.
Magic and Myth.
Yes, Magic and Myth. Yeah,
and I got some funny pictures of me, like I'm like looking and trying to, see all the little details, like the little what's the oil or the not chevron? It's like it has like a red and blue triangle. I forgot what it's called. It's a car company like parts. Anyways, I have a really good picture.
Oh, like the Champion Spark Plug.
Spark Plug. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we should do another day sometime, just kind of going over more detail on this thing, because the amount of decals that we don't even talk about or show in any of these pictures that are on that Falcon are just blow your mind, from license plates to vehicle registrations to, the triangles of ejection seats and just it's unbelievable.
And the signatures, right? Aren't the model makers kind of sign everywhere? Like
they did with little dry transfers, though, little Letraset dry transfers, and they did their names. So I've got my name and my wife's name on there, because one of the model makers was, a lot of people don't know it. It was a lady, and her name was Mary Lind. And she was one of the model builders on the Falcon, and her name is right on the bottom of the cockpit area there. And so I put my wife's name exactly where Mary Lynn had put hers. It was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that thing.
I think it's time. I think. Well, no. Let's hold on. Let's go through some of these pictures of you building this thing, because I mean, it's just also mind blowing.
Yeah.
To see kind of the process in building this, because
Yeah, when I met him, he was in the middle of that thing.
Oh yeah, gosh,
look at how small these pieces are.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These are those 4 guns we were just talking about, right?
Yeah.
And that's the 3 consistent, and then this bigger, you know, so it's like a tank body down there with then all these other little model ships and parts. And yeah, there you go. Look at that. It's
and I mean, even are the little squares different parts? Or are they
are those are hand cut out of styrene. You know, you often hear us talk about styrene, which is plastic card, and it's in all different thicknesses. They were notorious for using those for all those chips, we call it. But yeah, if you look at just one of those, the smaller tanks, and you know, if we just take a quick look, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I see at least 12 independent model kits, and then sometimes multiples from one kit. But you have like 12 model kits just for one of those, and then you got to do 4.
Yeah.
Holy crap! See, and that's the other thing I think is not discussed enough, right? Because the amount of model kits that it takes to build some of these, I mean, and especially how old some of these model kits are, I mean, it's just a matter of time. I mean, we're probably already there where you can't find them.
You can't.
There's no way to find these models. You know?
Yeah, I don't know if Jason mentioned much to you guys, you know, but like there's a kit called the C Lab. That's probably the most prolific. The
red one, the one with the red.
Yeah, the orangish red one. You know, $500, $600, $700 today just for the one model, and they use like 10 iterations of that kit. You know, so yeah, there's a lot of models sadly today that just you cannot get. And to be honest, though, and to be fair to a lot of people who've done this amazing research over decades, this is one of the reasons why they didn't want to release a lot of these kits to public, because they knew there'd be a run on models and then they become very expensive, you know? So you got this kind of ethical dilemma to share it, but you'll drive up the price of kits when they're revealed.
Yeah.
Well, that's like the Graflex light bulb, like the flashes, right? It kind of, you know, the prices just skyrocketed once collectors realize, hey, that's a lightsaber, and I could find them cheap on
exactly.
You know, crazy.
Yeah, there you go. Look at all that.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah. So there's where you'll see some of that laser scribing on that black acrylic, right? And that would kind of get me going with the penciling. That was very, very light. So once I threw down 2 coats of paint, those would virtually almost disappear. And then you'd go back and either scribe and then pencil it. But you'll see that white plastic art to the left. That's the stuff I was telling you about. That I had to hand scribe all those lines and then pencil over. So
like this.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Yeah, not crazy, but yeah, it's just so much fun. This was such a fun project.
Now, is there like the specific paint? Is it kind of, you know, because I remember, what was it? What's the Star Wars white?
Star Wars white.
But what is it? It's there's a specific name.
Don't get me started, Gabe.
Oh, is there too many? Okay.
No. That stuff's out there, and there's still claims. I think that I'm not going to claim to be the all-knower on this either, but there's clear evidence. A lot of the model pictures where you see them building the models that they were using automotive primers. Like you just see them in yellow cans. There was just no doubt that they were using black and these white primers and all that. And those primers, those brands of primers just don't exist today. So there's been all kinds of, you know, custom mixtures and all that. That's just, I don't want to go into too much detail, but there is one that's been posted out there a while back. It was called Montana Gold. And it's a company, it's at art stores, and they have a white, and it's a slightly off white. And that's been claimed to be Star Wars white. I don't mind sharing with you. For me, Star Wars white is Rust-Oleum white primer. It is the automotive white primer, and when you spray it over a black primer, you get this beautiful off-white. And my Falcon and my Star Destroyer both use that same white. But if you'll notice when you see the Falcon seems a little bit yellowish because they also then oversprayed it with they call grime, and that was a flocal paint. We all know that. And I would add that in different consistencies, and that would get you that dirtier white on the Falcon. But the Star Destroyer remained that primer white. And so I was happy for me that I know I used an automotive primer just like they did. It was off-white, and it was beautiful. But
man, that's so cool.
Reefer white is what I was thinking, but I think that might be totally
Well,
different, right?
so reefer white was definitely used on the smaller, like the Y wings, the X wings, and all that, because that was airbrushed on.
Oh,
So these bigger models, they couldn't airbrush the size of them. So you had that, but some of even the studio models still would have had primer, and then reefer white would be added. There is no doubt reefer white, and there's a bunch of local paints absolutely were used on the models.
I bet you Michael's really surprised that I knew.
I am. I'm like, man,
I
listen
know.
to
You're like,
Dave. He's like, so you
is this
sure, Sean,
Well-
it's not reefer white? Because when I was building,
Well, no,
probably
because Sean's an R2 builder, so there.
That's right.
Little
That's where you hear
things
from
that
too.
come up while you're building these things.
I totally agree.
Kind of opened up my memory on a lot of stuff.
That's awesome.
But Michael, I am a little concerned. Gabe might be over there doing some reefer white.
He is in California too.
It is legal,
Yeah.
So there, Gabe, you can see again a lot of usage of that white plastic card, that styrene again. That's all kind of hand cut and glued down there to make all those little chip. We call it the chip relief. I think you'll see in the next picture. When the light, they kind of knew how to do this. So when they put that bright light on it from an angle, you'd get this great, surface detail. Wow. Yeah. Oh, I remember that. They realized you're saying that, but yeah, but there's an example, right, where I find something out after I built it, and then someone else is asking me, hey, I'm thinking about building that. Would you change anything? And I would help somebody else out and say, well, if I were to do this again, I would have made that a bit taller.
Wow.
But yeah.
But nobody, I mean, there's not a single person besides like you probably
there's like 10 of them.
That.
Yeah. And there's an original legs egg, and in its original, duck blue, that those pantyhose are probably on some lady from the 70s. But then I had to take it and then I cut it, and grind it, and you cut off that top of the egg, to get that hole. But there you go with the
and how you do all that stuff. I mean, that's a lot of
what
work.
about those T-Tracks? Is that from something, or did you have to make them?
So you buy kind of down there on the right, you can see a little strip of it too. There's a company called Plastruct that provides all kinds of materials. So these are, certain size T-channel, but every one I had a hand cut. I had a mark on that legs egg, the exact spacing all the way around top and bottom, so I would get straight lines to glue those T-channels down.
Jeez, man, that's details.
Yeah, there you go. There's that antenna. That was another example, right? All those little white things you see, I had to glue each and every one of those little white strips. I had to hand cut those little tiny white squares. With a very sharp X-Acto blade. Yeah, that was a lot of work. These models are just like these sub little model kits within themselves, It's just amazing.
So is it safe to say up to date that your Falcon is the toughest build?
Yeah, it really was the Falcon. Yeah. This makes the Falcon, though this was a wonderful challenge. This was pretty easy compared to the Falcon.
Wow.
Those details.
Well, and the Falcon's got, that dome and just all these other crazy shapes and all this stuff, where this was just a lot of these triangles and put things together. And the weird thing, like that, you may look at it and go, wow, that forward bridge area isn't symmetrical with those parts on the other side. Well, that's how the original model was. They didn't always put the exact part on one side to the other side. In this case, they didn't even finish that right side.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Looks like Legos all together.
Bells.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you.
All right. So now we need to look at this Falcon. We've had enough teasers here.
Okay.
So let's look at it completed, and then we'll
sure. Yeah, that's a good plan.
We'll kind of go through the process. Man, I love these.
It's a big model. It's very deceiving how big this thing is.
Look at that. I mean,
man, great job, Sean. I mean,
just look at this. I mean, it's spot on.
Yeah, it's hard, to get the angle and the cameras they used back in the day, but yeah, in general, you can. You can see it. It is very close. I'm really happy with the way it came out. It's just
massive.
Yeah, it's a big. My wife's friend. His name's Keith. He helped weld this base for me, even because I'm like, this thing weighs, I don't know how much, but it's got to be 100+ pounds, maybe around 100. But I just needed a lot of strength, so we just welded some metal together, and we did the pipe there. Is kind of like what do you call it? A stove flue, so I can change those angles, and I can make this thing display pretty much in any angle based on rotating the pipe up there at the top.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember for a little while you were using an engine hoist, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think you'll see that in the construction, but yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now, is this something like if you're gonna move the angle, it's something you could do yourself, or is it something you need like multiple people to kind of?
No, I just sit down on the ground. I just, like I said, got little Allen screws in there. Just loosen them and just kind of hold it and rotate it. But I can definitely do it myself. Yeah.
Man, that is just unbelievable.
Thanks. Yeah, there is a lot of parts and work on that for sure.
So before I found the Master Replicas one, I was working on the D'Agostini one.
Oh yeah,
and that gave me such an appreciation of all the parts, because I sat there and I glue each little part and trying to figure each part out as you go through the volumes. And
yeah,
I mean, again, it gave me this whole new appreciation for the small details on
absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, and for what it is, that D'Agostini, I've got one. It's a great little kit. I mean, that thing's really cool.
Wow.
So for the viewers out there on the 5-foot Falcon, it was filmed in what film? It was in the original New Hope, correct?
Right, exactly. And you'll see, in fact, here, Gabe, go to that next picture. One of the little, yeah. I think the D'Agostini is the Empire one, like you just said. But so the thing, like, this is a good picture though to show it, and a lot of people who know the Falcon would know, but some may not. When you look at the bottom of that kind of dome shape, this model, as it was when it was in Docking Bay 94 there, when they first get on the Falcon and it comes in, it's got what you call a tricycle landing gear, right? So it's kind of like a Cessna. There's only one landing gear in the front under that the flat area, and then two on the back.
Right.
Well, for Empire on that Cloud City, they wanted more landing gear, more structure. So where you see that little, we call it a maintenance bay, on this little circle area there, where there's you see kind of like a crane part on this. Go over the right just a little bit. Yeah, that little opening there. They covered up almost all that because they built 2 new landing gear boxes, and then some of those parts shifted. Yeah. So the point of that was my process again. I wanted to create that 1976 version of the Falcon. The model today and all the post that movie iterations do not look like this anymore. So this is kind of replicating history that existed back then and does not exist today.
No, and what's funny enough, because I kind of knew I knew about the landing legs and all that. It's kind of, I love the fact that they addressed it in the movies, right? In Solo, right? I think it was where he break, they break off or whatever.
That's true.
Like, oh, well, that's why it has 3 in A New Hope,
right?
And that's why it has more in Empire again.
Exactly.
Got fixed or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so I get a little bit more of that shot in that underside.
Hey, for the viewers and for me, your background, so the stars, is that's vinyl, or okay, you hand painted that on the top, but on the bottom, did you recess that off the wall just a little bit and then put the lighting right behind it?
That's exactly right. The planet is a vinyl print on like I don't know, a hard foam core, and then that is set out about 1.5 inches from the wall, so I could do the light strip to get that reflectivity on it.
Man, what a great job! That's awesome.
Yeah, and likewise, the 2 planets, those are just vinyl printed, but the wall is just black, rolled on paint and then hand painted stars.
Man, look, what a fantastic job!
Thank you.
It's cool because when you put the vinyl planets on there, it kind of has that 3D look. Yeah. Same with my Star Destroyers that are on there. They look like they're coming out of the picture.
They do. I
It's really
thought they were a model when I first saw it. I'm like,
yeah,
wow, that looks
exactly,
really cool.
exactly.
And so my dilemma, like in that picture though, with that wall was then I've got my door and that's the hobby room back there. So then I had to like figure out how do I break the vinyl, mount it, and still be able to open and close the door.
Yeah.
You know, so you got that little kind of hidden door gap there. But I had
That's
that
okay.
fun with
It looks
that.
great.
Yeah,
It looks great.
Yeah, and just
I love that.
shot.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
All right. So now we can get into a little bit of the construction, a couple pictures here.
Sure.
So how long did it take? Like from kind of start to finish?
15 years?
Yeah, right. Sometimes it feels like that. I want to say it was just a little bit over 3 years. It was a very long process, and that, you know, it wasn't full time. I worked on it on weekends, you know, and hours when I had chance. So, you know, if I could work on it full time, it'd still be almost probably an 8-month project if you could work full time on it. But yeah, so that's you know, that you can see that structure. I went out and I went to a skylight company because we know they had these blown acrylic domes on the original. And so I found a skylight company here and said, can you make it to these very specific dimensions? And they said, oh, sure. You know, gave me a bid, put them under contract after they blew 12 domes. And then they finally had 3 usable ones out of 12 domes. They lost their shorts, but they honored the price. But they said they lost a lot of money on it because they couldn't maintain that dome when they're blowing it. But I was fortunate to get the 3 that worked.
Did you ever go back and show them the finished product?
I did, yeah. And they
cool.
really, really loved it. And then I subsequently had a friend go to them to see if he could do it, and they said no. We'll never do that project again.
They're like, never again.
Yeah. And yeah, so then, you know, this was before I put the dome on. I started with just building those mandibles. We call them the mandibles, you know, those front parts jutting out. And again, just build out of acrylic on the base. And then just, it's all hand. I just had to hand build everything, you know. And you can see like the glue on that disc back there. I don't care about stuff like that, right? I mean, that's kind of like Hollywood. If you're not going to see it, it doesn't have to be pretty. It just needs to hold up.
For sure.
And are there like blueprints? Are there how did you get all the
reference?
Oh yeah, great question. So this project for me really started again on the RPF. You know, there's Andre Bustanoboy. I'm sorry, Andre, I always murder your name. But Andre, Joshua, Doug Mayo, and Stuart Brown. These guys were kind of in their own club building this, and Joshua and Andre in particular had presented to the RPF some blueprints, you know, that were their best guess. It was like, I don't know, version 3 or version 4. And they were so honest about, hey, we think we're close. It may not be perfect. And I love those words. It might be close because I'm going to go. So I took those blueprints, became friends with those guys. They helped me all the way through this progress. And then I became a validator for them, right? I was building off their plans, and where there might have been some tolerance differences, changes, I would give them the feedback. So it was a really, really good relationship. But those guys really helped me get through it. So those were the initial blueprints I had. And they did a great job because you know, this is where the proof is in the pudding. That whole engine deck you see, we call it, right? And you can see all those model kit parts. Well, imagine if you start at the very bottom in the center and you got these, they're called shovel blades. I forget the exact kit, but those 3 green ones down there. Yeah. So imagine when you have that, and then that next vertical part, that's one of the parts that's on the Y-wing on the engines. And then you've got all these other parts, and then you got a tank deck. You got the vented circle, a tank deck, another vented circle, and then more tank parts. If you don't have that measurement just right, those model kit parts won't align. And, you know, so they just did a fabulous job with these blueprints, and there's the proof.
Yeah. So Sean, okay, so obviously, you know, there's a 32-inch model, and obviously, you know, the blade. What did you call them? The blade?
Yeah, they're tractor blades. Actually, It's like a tractor. Yeah.
So is it technically? It was just like the same model that they use, but just on a smaller scale, or?
I wish I could tell you I knew more about the 32-incher. if they did that. But to your point, they did do that. I know when I've seen the 32 inch, there was, because this is slightly, the 32 incher is just a little bit bigger than 1/2 the scale. So you're right. If you had a model that was a 1/144th, for example, the Saturn V,
right,
or a 1/72nd Saturn V, I'm sorry, in this scale, you could do a 1/144 Saturn V on that, 32 incher. So I think they did use a lot, but you can see a lot of places where they didn't, because stuff just didn't jive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that just a crazy amount of parts and some very expensive kits on there.
What's crazy is when you see the passion and the detail and the freaking labor that goes into building something like this. That's what's so amazing about Star Wars and Battlestar and Star Trek. I said Star Trek, Gabe. What's so amazing, though, really, with Star Wars is this was done back in 1975 and 6.
Right.
These were models, almost 50 freaking years ago.
Yeah.
And when you see them today, it's still like, holy shit,
So true.
That's what's so crazy about these models. And everything about that, the music, everything about Star Wars,
Yeah.
But this thing just makes sense, though, right? I mean, weirdly enough, maybe it's our young kids, but I look at that and I still see a Millennium Falcon. I see this freighter, it's just like they sold this to us so well with the artisanship and craftsmanship that they came up with.
And then they built this damn thing life size back in 75 when I was geeking out with my boy Gabe and all the guys at the celebration at Disney. I couldn't even believe something like this was done way back when, It's so cool.
I know and again, it goes to show, right? Like there's very few hobbies out there. I mean, obviously there are that people are this passionate about, but I mean, this is, if you really think about it, what other hobby can you invest so much passion into it?
Yeah.
Not only just the building part of it, obviously, but again, what the final product means to you. You know what I mean? What the final model means to you.
It's just a matter of, what you see behind me right there. It's come down here every day, and I feel like a little kid. And I know Michael and Gabe, you guys feel the same way when you come down to your rooms, right? It's just having this little piece of our childhood, and we can just stare at it. And I can't describe it. You guys probably can't describe why exactly. We just know we feel it.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, wait till you see. Did you send the Star Trek set?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah. I got.
Okay. Did you say Star Trek?
Oh, yeah.
You're crossing the streams.
I know, right?
What did you say?
We just lost a few watchers, or what? Hold on. Let me get through some of these.
Oh,
yeah,
it's just that.
Man, that must be really cool. And that when you're through the process and coming back in the room after you walked away from it for a few hours, seeing that shit, that's awesome.
It's crazy. Just even that dish, right? That was another I'll try to be real quick, but the shape of that dish, you kind of see that raised lip, right? At the very edge of it. It's kind of like a thin layer. Yes, exactly. And then it tapers down there kind of right in the middle. And I found out what it was through not, getting help in there because it was driving me nuts. But we always knew they used these clear domes. And again, this was from Plastruct. And it dawned on me one day, I'm looking, the dome was the right dimensions, but it just didn't have this thin lip. The material for the dome was much thicker. And I just had this epiphany one day. I said, well, shoot, if you had a little small, table saw with the guard, and then you just rotate that disc, you could take off 3/4 of the thickness of the material, and you'll be wound up with this little thin lip, and then remove that little material. And I did it, and I swear it's like, that's it.
That's what they did. That's what they did. Right.
Yeah.
And that's one of those times when you feel lucky that you discovered something, and I love sharing it with others, but that was a fun accomplishment with this dish to figure that one out on your own.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull up something too on my. I want to share with you guys, but I'm trying to get it to my computer. A lot of times that's like the hard part, is trying to get these. But let me. Oh, there you go. The bullet hole, right? These are iconic. This is one of those things when I was building the D'Agostino that they got it wrong. So like, all the builders are like, you have to redo them.
Yeah, I think D'Agostini, they were just like little tiny, just flat, like one layer cut out. Yeah. But this was just a matter again of that, that big thick acrylic. You had to cut out like a bigger hole, gut it out, then do a real thin layer of this plastic, heat it up, melt it, make it look melted, and then you put the next layer of plastic on top of that, jag it out. So this is multi-layers, to get that effect. But at the end of the day, it looked pretty close to the original.
Oh, and it's already getting
the underside. My version of Star Wars white.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I can't tell the difference, right? And that's the thing with Star Wars white. It's like there's only a few people that could really kind of
it drives me nuts. Yeah, drives me nuts.
There you go, a little bit more of those blades down there, and so you can see like those blades, though, those 3 green ones we showed you earlier, those were original kit parts. The rest of those I had to mold and cast because I was going to buy that many kits.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the one thing that I think needs to start happening. And I'm sure people like Jason and that are already doing it, where they're modeling a lot of the stuff in ZBrush and all that stuff, because they're honestly archiving history.
Yeah,
because you're like you said, there's going to be a time you're not going to find one of these model
those kits won't be around anymore. Yeah. That's such a great viewpoint. Yeah. I hadn't thought of that archivable purpose.
Yeah, he's literally, because I know Jason does have a lot, he's been doing a lot of stuff on ZBrush, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's in, look at that. Is it just all your
so this, if you could, I don't know if you can zoom in just a bit just so the viewers can see a little more, but I threw a couple of these in for you. These were from the RPF, the Replica Prop Forum board. Mm-hmm. But I just thought this would give you guys a good example of just that one mandible side. This is the filming side of the list of all the kits that were on it, and the identification of each and every one of those parts. But if you imagine this, and I think there's a couple more of these similar pictures, this mapped out of the whole entire ship, this is how you're able to be successful, because without this help from these folks, there's just no way I could have built this model. But look at that amazing reference. You just look at that and realize again, sure, there's 10 model kits, it says down there, but look at the multiples of each of the model kit, right?
That's unbelievable. That's awesome. You sent that. Thank you.
Yeah. And this detail right there is a very famous or infamous detail of the Falcon, right? These dents right here,
that's right.
It's one of those pieces. Again, I learned from building the D'Agostini, because people are like, it has this damage right there. You gotta dig into it.
That's crazy.
And we should point out too, right? These photos with the maps they are photos of the original filming miniature when it was like going on that Magics of Myth and these other shows. Yeah. So some wonderful people took a lot of great reference photos, and then more people created these parts maps. But you are right. You are looking at the actual filming miniature with that bent damage, and for example, Gabe, if you're over kind of to the bottom right of the circle there, it's kind of hard to see, but that shadow of the damage, just above that on the actual, you can kind of make out some damage.
Oh, this one.
If you look at the full-size Falcon, when Luke and Obi-Wan are coming onto the Falcon, they made that on a full-scale set, in 75. Yeah. So how impressive that they matched the full model to this model.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Or vice versa.
Yeah, or vice versa. Yeah. So this just gives you a little idea of what the approach was, of how these things were mapped out, crowdsourced, and then helps someone like me to start putting all these parts together and get them to all fit in there.
All that work, man. It's a lot of work, man.
But you know what? It's worth it, right? That's the whole point, right?
Yep.
But it's a labor of love.
It is. It's a fun journey. It's a lot of work. But the most important thing is you just got to keep going too. If you stop and start burning yourself out, it's hard to ever get back to it. So you just got to keep going.
I know there's a cool dude right now working on a 5-footer over in the other states. I can't remember where. He's reached out to me a few times. Really nice guy. How many right now? How many actual completed? And I know some are a little bit more to detail, but all in all, they're all really nice, well done models. How many of them are out there? Is there just 2 that you know of? Counting yours?
Mine and Lee Malone, did an outstanding job that we saw at Wonderfest.
Yep.
I think there's been 1 or 2 other people that have maybe been a little bit on the down low.
Okay.
That might have completed it. I know they are working on it. I think you're talking about Stu Brown in Australia or New Zealand.
That's it.
He's just taken mine, in my opinion, just to the next level, right? He's just really, really meticulous about details, and his is going to be amazing. But there are less than probably 4 or 5 that I think anyone's at least publicly, acknowledged.
Yeah, people don't realize. I remember. I'm not going to ask you this online, but I know Malone. I remember talking to him, and when they first just the cost of the parts, I think he was at $50,000.
Wow. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
There's a lot of money. Yeah. I mean, there's, when we start talking some of those kits, like I was saying earlier, some kits are $400, $500, $600. Sometimes you have to buy multiples, and you imagine, there's somewhere between 150 and 200 unique model kits, and then multiple sometimes of those. So yes, when you start adding up the numbers, you are in the, tens of thousands of dollars of kits, material, and then you haven't even started talking labor, right? And then that's the old, when guys like me build stuff like this, then how do you factor in labor? Because if you paid a fair wage for labor, these models would all be out of the market.
Way over 100 plus thousand.
So I found the pictures of this geek with the 5-foot Falcon.
That's funny.
Look at this geek right there trying to look at. I was just like, oh my God.
Wow.
Look at that.
That's awesome, Gabe.
Man. So young too. I'm like,
so this is so wonderful though, that you have that memory, you've seen it. So you know just how big that thing is in person.
It's insane. I remember this is the
there you
picture
go.
that I was looking for. I was like amazed that they had that little champion sticker.
That's right.
Like, oh my God, look at the detail on this thing.
That's cool. You picked that picture out, Gabe.
I was looking for all because I took a bunch of pictures from that day. So
man, good job. Because you thought one day you're going to have this show with your sidekick Michael, and you were going to be able to show this on the show from a guy who actually built that sumbitch.
Right? No, and it is so cool because obviously back then, I was collecting already the replica stuff, so I was kind of already conscious of okay, now I'm gonna look, and I was really deep in the RPF too. Like I was in there all the time, just drooling over some of the stuff in there, So, and a lot of times I took pictures for references, and a lot of times I was like thinking the RPF, like what can I share on the RPF that's gonna help people, develop these things. So
wow, that smile on your face, Gabe, was priceless though.
It was.
Cheesy now. That whole day I was just cheesing out.
That's great.
But so you got some amazing recognition with this with this Falcon, and I want to show some.
Oh yeah.
This
those photos.
This is a big deal. I mean, for any Star Wars fan, right?
And Sean deserved it. After all that blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes.
This was, I know I'm talking for Sean, but this was a reward for sure.
Yeah, can you tell us, okay, so what's going on in this set?
Oh, yeah, thanks. So I literally had just finished this model. Like I was just wrapping it up. And it turned out, and this was, when was this, 2 years or 3 years ago, summers ago. And the Academy of Motion Picture was putting on this event called Galactic Innovations from Star Wars to Rogue One. And they're big displays you see here. So this is at the Academy. And they basically restored the Dijkstraflex, right? And so what you see there is the original Dijkstraflex that's been restored. So the computer controlled, motion controlled camera that John Dykstra and ILM, used for filming the original Star Wars. And so here they've got this beautiful restoration, and my friend Gene, who's an Academy member and he's part of the Visual Effects Society, he knew that I had just finished the Falcon. And so he had talked to the Academy and showed them some pictures and said, hey, I really think we should invite Sean to come down and present the model and put it with the Dykstra. It'd be just such a great, kind of moment. And so long story, is let's do it. And so they were generous enough to help me get this model out there from Colorado to Hollywood. And we set this thing up. This was probably midnight, 1 a.m. I had just arrived at like 8 p.m. With my friend Rob. We drove cross country, and the event was going to happen the next day. So we had just now finished setting it up here in the lobby. And so before the event was going to start that evening, what I didn't know is that they had set up a little special meet and greet with some of the original ILM model folks. And so this was that day. And you want to talk about your day of just absolute awe. I was totally blown away. And so this is Dennis Murin, one of the key ILMers back in the day. And he just was over the moon and loved this. And so this was a moment where he's just kind of telling me a story about when they were setting up a shot, I think, if I remember that moment, and so I'm just, and you can look at my face, I'm just like, I'm sitting here and Dennis Murin.
He's like, what, Kelly Kel? Yeah. You kind of look like Gabe in that other picture.
Yeah.
I don't even think I know what's going on at that moment. It was truly a Cinderella moment. And
man, that's awesome.
So then they start popping up some more guys. And this is Bill George, who's been around for a long time. And he just, again, just such an amazing model builder himself. And just, was over the moon. So that was really neat to get to meet up with Bill. And then this, of course, for me was that's John Dykstra. I mean, the Dykstra Flex, Academy Award winning, and just, oh my gosh, I was over the moon and each of these guys, they took the time out to do these individual one-on-ones with me, walk around a model and telling me these incredible stories about, and filming this and how they thought when they first came into the room, they thought it was one of ILM's. They thought it was the Falcon that George Lucas, had loaned for this event. And then they get to introduce me as the model builder for it, so that was really, really cool.
Congratulations, Sean. Really, man.
What a compliment. I mean, right? It's mind blowing, right? I'm sure when they're like, you did it. I mean, this is
unbelievable.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was, and Harrison Ellenshaw there, matte painter, did so many of the matte paintings, and he was just absolutely amazing, and just telling me some funny stories too about, while they're doing some of the matte paintings with the Falcon, and they were working in the middle of the night, and that they had to get to this model, and that they would basically just some funny stories I probably shouldn't even reveal for him, that he was telling me things that they were doing that weren't necessarily on the up and up to just get some more access in the middle of the night to get their job done. And so he was just an absolute wonderful guy to talk to. And I think that's awesome. He's like, so he's using the Force.
That's awesome.
There. Yeah. He was just such a pleasure to chat with.
He's thinking he's standing a little close to my Falcon.
Right. Hey, I don't care. They can touch it. They're break parts for all I care. My model was broke by an ILMer.
That's right.
No, and it's such a funny thing because, a lot of like just kind of general Star Wars fans, obviously, Mark and Carrie and, Harrison, to them, it's like, oh my God, and obviously to us as well. But to people that know about model making, about the creature shop, I mean, this is where it's at. I think,
absolutely.
Watching those documentaries, like from Star Wars to Jedi and all the makings of, and I think we watched those probably more than the films as kids sometimes.
Actually, you're right about that, Gabe. You're right. I loved watching those. Yeah. There's a really good picture of one of the 5-foot Falcon and a young Mark Hamill standing by the 5-foot, like checking it out.
Wow. Yeah. And then, this guy so that's John Knoll.
Oh yeah.
I think you all know with, current Disney and head of ILM, and
he's the reason Rogue One happened.
Exactly. And just the kindest guy with compliments. And, he built the Razor Crest, right? And he did he and a couple guys, but he did the motion control rig for some of those introductory shots. And just, he was so open to sharing, that he's like us. He's a model builder. He builds these, but he does some incredible camera stuff too. So just, wow. It was an absolute incredible moment. And then, that was inside the academy there while they're
wow, that's awesome, bro.
Cool. It was pretty neat. So I got to thank, Gene Kazicki and Rob McFarland are my two good friends that helped get this whole event set up for me to attend, and just amazing.
Oh, look at that.
And then, after the show, and this just went on for a long time. So people would come after the show, and then they would let them come out of the theater and then through here. And man, you just talk about, just sitting back and watching people look at those cameras and people just going crazy over, seeing the model. That's the reward right there, right?
For sure. Were these guys invited? Were they invited there, or how did that work out?
This actually became a public event then, right? So I forgot how many hundreds of people that auditorium fills up. They had a certain number that were all, invited via the academy. And then what was left over, they had put out for public, people to come to the show and see. And so, it was incredible. So a lot of this is the public coming in after we had the academy members. So.
Was this at the Kodak studio, like the one on Hollywood, or no? It's just
no. This is the I'm embarrassed to not remember the exact name, but it's the academy. Okay. Where they do a lot of their screenings in the Visual Effects Society and all that stuff.
Gotcha. Man, that's just, it's amazing.
Congratulations.
That's the only thing. Yeah, it's, I think I would just be speechless. Like,
that's the, absolute top of my modeling career. I'll never get that kind of high again. It was amazing. I don't have much of a Facebook presence, and this was like one of the few things I ever even posted on Facebook, because it was a big deal, big event. Yeah. But I'm really proud of it and thankful for everyone who shared it, with me. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome, brother.
Thank you.
Man, so cool.
Yeah.
But we're not done, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man. So before we get to some other stuff.
You're over the freaking top, Sean. That's all I'm going to say. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's like,
and you're such a cool guy. I'm having so much fun having you on, man.
Absolutely.
It's just a hobby.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of a session mixed in, but it's
a little bit, right?
No, and I would say though too, I wouldn't be this lucky to have all this and do it too if I didn't have the most amazing supportive wife on the planet.
Yeah,
my wife is so patient and tolerant of it, and just so supportive over, we just had our 20th anniversary, and she has just been here the whole step of the way, supporting me. And so
that's awesome.
Yeah. That's, and that's how you're lucky. You got one, right? A good one. I always, Michael always talk about this, because my wife, she's somewhat tolerant, but at the same time, she's like, it needs to stay in that room.
Right. Well,
can she hear you, Gabe? Gabe, can she hear right now?
I know.
Right. Let's be clear, though. The same rules apply to me. It was the minute we go up these stairs, nothing in my home would indicate there's any Star Wars mojo in this household.
Oh, that's funny. It's kind of how it is. Well, I take that back. I'm actually starting to take over.
Michael's like, nah.
Yeah, Battlestar Galactica section, Terminator section.
So, replicas, because obviously besides Studio, that's my, and seeing this IG, is it IG88 or IG?
No,
or the
IG11 from Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I recently just finished one of the cans that I one of the artists that did them for the Disney Cantina.
Oh yeah.
I ended up getting a mold from one of those. Cool. And I turned it into the IG88, and just to kind of find the found parts, like the little coax, things, and then the 4x20 scope, and things like that. I spent some time, and I actually ended up first time ever using, because we have a 3D resin printer that my wife uses for crafts. She has the Mono X, and so we ended up printing the eyes through that, and they came out beautiful. They come out so smooth. Good. no sanding. It's just amazing.
That's
So tell us about this. How did
yeah,
you?
so this was, again, as I've been learning about 3D, I decided, I don't know, 6 months ago or so to invest myself in a Creality 3D printer, right? So, it's a filament printer, not resin. And my friend Ryan, again, after I got going and doing some other, I used it for the Y-Wing engine cans and all that.
Mhm.
And my friend introduced me, hey, there's, these guys out in Thingiverse, wherever it was, that have 3D STL files.
Mhm.
So I said, cool. I've always wanted, just like you said, that IG had, which was that Derwent flame tube.
Yeah.
And I've always looked myself, but I could never find one. I'm aware of those castings and they're beautiful. And then I said, well, I found like an R2 builders group. They're 3D printing these. So I said, I'm just going to print that head. So I printed the head. So, when you get up close, this doesn't have the fine detail, like you said, of original parts and all that. But I'm like, I filled it with some Bondo, painted it, gave it that metallic finish. And then I'm just like, you know what? Maybe I'll just do the shoulders. So then I 3D printed just the shoulders. And then I'm like, well, maybe I'll just go to, below the rib cage.
Waist up.
And then I'm like, well, maybe I'll just do the arms and I'll just have them hanging out there. And then, maybe continue down to the feet.
Yeah.
Did you go into this, Sean, knowing that you were going to do 11, or did you think you were going to do 88 first, or you didn't know?
I went in from day one for 11 because I really liked 11. I loved, Mandalorian was really just hitting its stride. Yeah. I kind of like this color. I really try to match the exact screen.
You did a great job on the colors. Beautiful.
Yeah. So you just, I want to say it was about 300 hours total of print time.
Wow.
So it was a lot of print time, but it just went together absolutely wonderfully.
Does he stand pretty easy, yours?
He absolutely stands easy, and you can just pick him up, move him where you want. But
yeah, that's how mine is.
Yeah, you basically got like the broomsticks going through the legs, because I think yours is the same 3D model there, Michael.
It is. It's just mine's the taller version, so some part of it is taller because a lot of people that don't know, 11 is like 6 foot, and IG88 is like 7. A little over 7 foot.
Oh, gotcha. Well, this guy, I think this guy's 7'6". If my memory serves me, I'm pretty sure he's 7.5 feet tall.
Gotcha. Damn.
Yeah, it's huge. It is that. So, then ILM put out this really cool kind of making of IG, and there was a YouTube video, it's beautiful HD, and they were showing, their CGI model of this, and that's where I got all the great color reference and weathering reference. So I felt I was pretty happy to be able to get this thing painted up.
Yeah.
Did you use an airbrush for this?
I hate to say it, all rattle cans.
So was mine. Yeah, I love the gold. The gold's the way you did it.
Yeah.
What did you use for those little
those shock boots?
Those they're motocross. I think they were Honda motorcycle shock boots.
That's what I used.
Yeah,
I'm in the truck accessory business. I found them and did those. Yeah.
Right? It's perfect for that because you can articulate the arms now, and those go with it. Where the lower ones, of course, are the 3D printed ones. So
right, exactly.
Gabe, you are just amazing with your eye-catching details, though.
Yeah, he does a good job.
So sometimes Michael's always like, we'll have a guest on, and I'm like looking at the bottom shelf of like there. Like, what is that? That bottom?
Yeah. Well,
he's nosy.
What I love on this too, though, this picture, this picture shows it pretty good too. But I love all these little like cables, right? So I think I used just like a TV cable, but to bend those cables, to make all those like hydraulic hoses, that just added that little extra touch.
Oh, I love doing that. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Came out beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, man.
And then you got some
there's a few little collection things. I can't remember.
Gabe,
what
about this thing? Let's talk about this.
Is that what the base for the binoculars? Or
that is from Rogue One. Galen Erso, kind of when you see him at the very beginning of the movie when he's out there and he's approaching Krennic, he wears that around a belt on his waist. And so everyone calls it the Galen Erso water testing kit because he's a farmer. I don't know if you knew this or not, Gabe, though. The fun little backstory with it, though, is that the body of that is the same Triton camera that was used in the security cameras on the original, those blue, the
one with the 6.
Yeah. So for Rogue One, they went and got that original prop, painted it up a little different with this white and black.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Russian like camera thing. I forgot exactly what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that, painted up, and you got yourself a prop replica of Galen Erso screen used, doohickey. And then that was a Graflex. That was a kit I think I got years ago off of RPF, which was a real Graflex, Regal Robot thermal detonator. And then, of course, I do want to mention real quick that little art piece you see behind it. That's a plate from the original Star Wars. When we went to that Galactic Innovations I was talking about and met the ILM guys, that was kind of their gift for me. They all signed. This is a copy, one of the reproduced copies of the original plate of the Y-wing attack in Death Star, and they all signed it for me.
Oh, that's
man,
cool.
that's badass.
Yeah.
Man, that must have been a really cool thing that they gave you that.
Yeah.
That was a total surprise, and that was so generous of them.
Hey, did you want them to sign the Falcon?
I did, but I wasn't going to broach it. I felt that was getting a little too imposing.
Yeah.
Had they offered it, I would have, but I didn't want to say, "Hey guys, I'm glad to meet you. Can you come over here and sign my Falcon?"
Yeah,
I would have.
But I know. But
can you sign it exactly where you hid?
Right. But still, in turn, to get all their signatures on a piece, from the production was a copy from the production was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the others are just the Boba Fett. I think is just that Hasbro series.
Is it the Black Series?
Yeah, that's one of those
really
boxes
good.
which I just thought was very good.
Yeah.
The little flame torch for the Jawas.
Yep.
That was an original part. I forget exactly what you call it. That flame torch.
Watch out, Gabe.
That's
Stepping
the
up,
PCR.
brother.
I know. Yeah, that's the PCR EFX or the Master Replica, maybe.
That is the Trooper. There is either I can't remember if that's EFX or if that is the Master Replicas. I'm sorry, I should be better about.
No, I mean, they took over the mold. So I mean,
okay,
EFX took over the Master Replica mold. So
that's the one though that had the really green lenses on it. I remember though because the other ones didn't. So yeah.
That's going. What about the Mando helmet?
So that was some guy here in Colorado. He basically, this is before I got my 3D printer. He had 3D printed a Mando and did this beautiful paint finish. And for a very inexpensive cost, he offered it up to me. And I'm like, sure, And so it's, I just love Mandalorian. I think they've done great with that. So
I agree.
You got the sideshow.
That's right.
No Baby Yoda.
I had to sign up for that as soon as it came available.
Oh, yeah. I did a small video on YouTube.
Did you?
Rubbing off the cheeks a little bit, because
okay.
a little bit rosier than I wanted. So I did a little video. I'm like, look, you just kind of wet your thumbs a little bit.
You got a lot of hits on that too, didn't you, Gabe?
I did. I got a lot of people are like, thanks, I'm gonna go do that. And it's literally just taking your thumb and rubbing.
What the hell? It took off the paint.
No, and that's why I'm like very cautious. Like, do it wet. Like, you do it dry method so you can control it.
Right. Cool.
So this is what I was telling you, Michael. That this print, I saw it and I was like, I love this. I love that.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
That's one of these limited edition prints. At least on mine, it says, I'm looking at right behind the camera. It's like 59 of 100. And I want to say it was a company called Acme, maybe.
Yeah, Acme's. They're like the big. They release a lot of people's.
Yeah. So that's just it's just so great because Richard Edlund took the original photo, and then they just blew that up, printed on canvas, and it's just so beautiful. And then a couple of little toys there on the bottom.
Yeah.
So.
See the little Regal Robot pencil.
That's right.
See,
I love those guys.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. And then that was the blockade runner that I built a small version. Jason Eaton and a couple guys, got together and created a very accurate replica. A lot of people don't realize that there was a model of that from ILM, and that is the very first model ever seen in the 1977 New Hope. When you see it go overhead that first time, it's that smaller version of that model. And that's it. It's only detailed on the left. So they did a great job making that. And just a couple other.
What about this blaster? What is that from? That's
a Battlestar Galactica blaster. It was a resin kit. I honestly don't remember where it came from, but it was just a resin kit that I had fun painting up. An E11 blaster that was like 3D printed. So.
Very cool.
Which is the art.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So my friend Ryan behind it there, believe it or not, the drawing is kind of hard to see, but when they were looking through, was it the Bible or I forget the big book? And there was this Bible moment of the ark up there that's shooting down. That's in the film. Well, when Grant McCune Design went out of business several years ago, I had an opportunity to kind of get into the shop and was fortunate to have picked this up. And this was one of they made the copies of these for filming on rice paper, and it was printed on rice paper. And this was, like they said, one of only 5 original prints from Raiders of the Lost Ark from that scene that they, and so that was just a very, that's a piece of film history as far as I'm concerned. And so my buddy found one of those metal earths for the ark, and he got me one of those little gold metal earth kits. And so I built a little ark kit to put in
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I love that's my other big passion. I've been getting into screen use stuff and buying it from different, I mean, not Star Wars and stuff like that, because those go for crazy amount of money from other films. That's awesome. I love that.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah, that's still a work in progress. I just want to create from Mando. So those are I think, again, the Black Series Stormtroopers. So, they're only like, $99 helmets. Yeah. And then I just chopped them up, cut them up, but tried to match them to the screen almost exactly with some oil paints and weathering. And I eventually want to, do the third one. And then I want to do like a ground sand base down there and just have this cool little diorama of that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that'll be really
neat. The HAL.
Yeah, there's a HAL up there.
Yeah, guy, catch the little things.
God, look at you poking your eyes around. What behind it?
Yeah, he's nosy. I told you, he's nosy.
No, I recognize things for. That's cool. Is this a kit from like the RPF, or
this was before the kit? I think Mobius came out with a really good kit, is what I heard. But this was prior to that. One of my good modeling friends had made this as just a really small run set of kits, and so that was actually a handmade little kit that was incredibly accurate, really, really good.
Yeah, Master Replicas kind of try to make a comeback, and they offered this, and there was going to be like a Bluetooth thing, for your phone, but unfortunately they never made it before they kind of went under again.
Gotcha.
Look at that. You got an Oscar back there?
We don't talk about that.
No, talk about that.
But I will tell you, it is a replica. It's not authentic. It is a replica.
Gotcha.
But and then this was it? I think it was a Novos, right? That made the
kit.
Yeah, it was the kit. So this was one of those Novos kits that was just. It took a while, but a lot of fun, and then got a mannequin body, and then that little BB-8 I made that one pretty much from the R2 Builders Group, Gabe, and 3D printed the head. And did that, and then I ordered the big hemisphere, and then got that vinyl graphic for the lower body, but hand painted the head, and then he's got the little electronics and lights, and worked out really cool.
Man, what a great job!
Yeah, thank you. And then we kind of talked about R2 there, and
R2, and then you went with the A New Hope kind of with the black
exactly. And the other argument, Gabe, I'm curious, where you fall on this, but I think one of the biggest arguments on his legs are the two little. So see, you are exactly 180 out from me, and this is always an interesting debate. So if you look on his legs, he's got the two button squares on the leg. Yep, right there, and then the solid kind of tube. Yours, I think, is opposite of mine.
So that took me about a week to I was like, what do I do? Do buttons go forward or buttons in the back or vice versa?
Right.
What I ended up doing is I did on the left leg, it's the buttons on the back, and on the other side, it's buttons on the front. And actually, I don't remember which builder said that's kind of another way to do it, because it's just almost, there's so many of them that it was just impossible to kind of really figure out which way to go.
I like your solution.
So I did them the opposite on each side, and I mean, the only other thing that I decided to go, I didn't do the A New Hope kind of black ring, but what I did do is on the back I did the blank panel. I can't move it around, but
yep.
You know how on the back, instead of white, it's like it's aluminum color on the panel. But other than that, I wanted to dirty it up a little bit to make sure it's, a New Hope ish.
Used.
Yeah, see, and this is one of those things again. I just focus so hardcore on A New Hope, and then when you first see it, and when you first see R2 in the opening sequence inside the Blockade Runner, that's the orientation, and that's what I went with. But I love that you even picked out that black ring, like you said, around the front lens, and the black. I forget the black or blue on the top, and then the back, because again, it changes, right? It just changes all the time.
All the time. Yeah. And did you go all aluminum? All of it or no?
It is all for the whole body. No,
the Commando 8.
Yeah, so it's the aluminum head, but the body is that it was actually the MDF board, and then it was a resin casting skin. So it was I forgot the guy that offered up. It was kind of a kit. So I kind of went that way. So the legs are mostly all resin, and then believe it or not, I cheated on the white paint. I wanted a nice solid paint, so I took the entire body and legs to an automotive paint shop, and I said, "Give me a good white lacquer, automotive lacquer," so then I could weather the shit out of it. I knew I wouldn't ruin the underlying paint job.
Yeah. So I did some, because I did Styrene Skins.
Yes.
I wanted it to give it the appearance. I don't know if I could kind of show you. Let me see if I could. I wanted to give it the appearance that it was aluminum. So what I did is I actually took a little piece of it was just like a little toothpick, and what I did is I applied a little bit of the what's the 8000 glue, E 8000 glue.
Oh yeah.
And when I started running it down, it started melting the paint. And what ended up happening is that the underline, I painted it silver, but then I went white. And then when I ran the glue around it, it actually melted the paint, and it left.
Oh, nice!
It just left like a silver aluminum kind of lining all the way around it.
Oh, that's great!
So it ended up working out. Just
What a cool technique! That's great.
All right. Well, now we're okay. So we're done with the Star Wars picks right here.
Yeah, we're right at 2 hours.
And we're at 2 hours.
Told you, Sean.
I know. Why don't?
If you have some time, obviously, I would love to just kind of speed through some of these.
Yeah, we can get through them pretty quick.
Okay.
All right.
I want people. There's been some people that are Star Trackers, tracky.
All right. We can knock them out.
Battlestar Galactica. I don't know these guys.
We'll speed them. All right. Let's get through. Let's do Battlestar.
I agree.
All right. Let's do Battlestar first.
So this will have been, though, this was like the real big first studio scale model build, for me. So after Enterprise I was telling you about, this was 2006 when I got into the Battlestar, and this is when I really cut my chops and learned what goes into scratch building a studio replica. Yeah.
There you go. Wow.
So this thing's pretty accurate. Again, I won't rehash all the kit stuff and all that, but yeah, just amazing stuff and parts on this thing. It was so much fun.
And what's the size on this?
Go ahead, Michael.
This one right here, it's a little over 6 feet.
That's right. Yep.
Wow.
It's a big son of a gun.
It is, dude. I've seen Elkins. Did you see Elkins?
Yeah. In fact, I talked to him quite a bit during my construction of this too.
Yeah, he's really cool, isn't he?
Yeah, great artist. So that was the Galactica there, and that just same kind of approach.
Holy crap!
With all that. And then, so after you build the Galactica, you've got all these leftover kits. And then it dawned on me one day, I'm seeing one of the scenes where these big, turrets are going from inside the laser landing bays. And I realized, well, son of a gun, they used all these leftover model kits like I had, which are primarily called the Leopold. So I didn't have to buy any kits. And I created this replica that they did of the gun on the leftover kits that I imagine they had.
Wow, that's awesome.
That was
Do you still have that?
This actually is in the hands of a lot of my Galactica stuff, particularly the ragtags that I've done. They're all in the hands of a collector here in Colorado, so I can go visit it whenever I want.
Good deal.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to do is collect all of the ragtags. So yeah,
it was. In fact, I think you said you were talking to Michael Plant. He got one of my I had built the mineral ship, which people call the film
Yes.
ship, and he had
Yeah.
bought one of those from me, which was nice.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Well, speaking of the ragtag, let's look at those, Michael. Yeah, these are. I don't know if you got the chance to see these, Michael.
I haven't seen these pics yet, so I'm pretty excited.
Oh, you're gonna, flip your lid right now. All right.
What is that?
So that was before it's painted. The Canary Shuttle. That's the one with Fred Astaire. The episode with Fred Astaire in it. So that was the Canary Shuttle. That's the model kits, right? So there's like an F4 Phantom and a race car parts and all that. And go ahead, Gabe, the next one. So there's a picture of the filming miniature on the laptop screen, and then my model of it. But it was the Man with 1,000 Faces or something like that was the name of the original Galactica episode. But I just remember it was Fred Astaire.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Look at
Holy
that,
crap.
Yeah.
Michael's like, oh no.
Dude, that is badass. I love the colors.
Yeah, the colors, they did a great job with some of the colors on that show. And then,
look at that.
Yeah, that's exciting. So you built one of those too, huh?
I built all these, yeah. So these are the Gemini Freighter was my favorite. The Gemini Freighter has got such unbelievable detail.
Is that the Colonial Mover? Is that also called?
The Colonial Movers is the one in the back, right?
Okay.
And that's about 3.5 feet long. And then the Gemini Freighter is in the foreground there, and that was just the paint is insane on that thing.
That is so freaking badass. So I'm getting the back one from Mike.
Okay.
And I'm picking that up with the
great. Yeah.
the other stuff next week. Next month.
And now that you see this the Gemini.
Hey, hang on real quick before we go. What is that one called? There's the Colonial Mover. What's that one called?
That's the Gemini Freighter. So if you remember in the original, I think it was in the original movie episode, that they go to one of these ships and it's where they met Cassiopeia. So where Cassiopeia was, they actually show the shuttlecraft docking on the Gemini Freighter there. So
okay. So how long, like your Colonial, have you seen Mike's, the one I'm getting from Mike?
Oh yeah. I remember Mike was building it way back when I was building mine, I think. So
okay, isn't that thing almost like 4 feet?
It's almost 4 feet. These are all about 4 feet long. They're 3.5 feet long. So then behind this one is the Cylon tanker, right?
Yeah, that's badass.
And again, I used all the original kit parts. That was like a Vostok Russian, spaceship model kit that went into that thing back there. So, and then I apparently did a lot of comparisons with the Gemini. And then there's the mineral ship, and that's in Michael Plant's collection now.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Man, I got a long ways to go.
I know. I knew that Gemini. What is it? Is it a freighter?
Yeah, this next picture actually shows you the studio model compared to it. If you click on the next photo there, yeah. So it's a little out of focus from like a magazine, but that's how it looked in the film, and then below it is.
I love how you do those pictures like that. That's a great job, Sean.
Thanks.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and. Likewise with this, there's the studio miniature on the right, and then my model on the left. So you can see finding all the same kit parts again, matching things up. This next one actually is a really good comparison. There you go. So there's the original filming model that someone took looking down on it, and then, mine. So I get pretty close.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I know.
That is unbelievable, bro.
Thanks.
Hey, so do they have kits out there of that?
I don't know. I think many years ago, I think someone was doing a resin kit of it, but I couldn't say if that's still a kit available or not out there.
Well, I can tell you, I'm waiting for 2 shuttles from Jason at Jaws.
Oh yeah, and he would be the guy to ask.
Yeah. I don't know if he's being done with this, but I've been waiting a while for those. They're going to Mark Elkins to build.
Oh yeah, he'll do a great job.
Yeah,
but I mean, look at that even, right? So they highlighted the rivets on this thing, and then you dry brush the little tank. I went out and had custom made dry transfers for the Gemini freight lettering. It's just this model is really an incredible model. Wow, it's pretty neat. And then the next ship's just another one of those ragtag background ships. I don't know why, but I always call this thing the Heffalumpagus. It's It like reminds me of something from Sesame Street. I just Heffalumpigus was a fun name, but
Who made this kit? Did you make this thing or?
oh, I build all of them. I build them all from scratch.
That's unbelievable, dude.
Yeah.
So this guy in Colorado got those, huh?
Yeah. This collector. If you ever come up here, he just lives up the road. He's got virtually every model we're showing you here. They're now in his collection.
Yeah, maybe when I come up there, we can set that up.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
You're gonna want to then buy them from him, and I'll just take the commission.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but this was cool. It was always a background ship, and then they used it in Buck Rogers like they do with a lot of Galactus ships, and it became like this satellite in Buck Rogers, and they ripped off half the parts. But this is how it looked in the original filming miniature.
Not crazy.
And then of course that was, you can pass that. I didn't really, there you go. Yeah, sorry, I sent you a low res on some of these.
Oh, well, we got to see. We had Michael on, so we got to see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had plenty on.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if you told you though. This particular picture, I know it's again low res, but if you notice on the upper right there, see that kind of rounded shape? That is the Galileo shuttlecraft from Star Trek. The Battlestar model builders, that was an AMT model kit in the day. So there is actually the Star Trek Galileo shuttlecraft is a Battlestar Galactica ragtag ship. Isn't that funny? That just always cracked me. Yeah, I apologize. I didn't realize I sent you all these minis. So
no, they're great.
Because like I said, we got some
cool.
Some high quality ones.
Yeah. But this was fun. These were all just, again, they're all just scratch builds though, right? I don't do anything from a kit. I just figure all this out by scratch, and then just build it.
Man, you guys are just amazing.
I know, right?
Jeez. Yeah, and this next one, I call it the Pycon Maru, but it was gosh darn it, I forgot the basic ship in the Galactic, but I want to do, this is one of those rare times I went off on my own. I kind of made my own ship with the same.
Is this the prison one or no?
That's right, the prison barge.
Yeah, because Michael's giving me that.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's a good looking ship. And then this was the pre-EA cruiser, right? So the Eastern Alliance cruiser. This was how it was before they turned it green and even made it bigger. So that was an interesting build. And then this was another background ship.
Damn, man, they have a lot of these things.
They had quite a few. You can see the Space 1999 hull in the middle there. So they used the commercially available Space 1999 kit. They used the Eagle kit. And then they put on Leopold and some Harrier parts and all that. So, yeah, they were very creative, and a lot of these were just background ships. So, and that was the whole collection there before I got them sold off. I've still maintained the Galactica because that's just a big thing. But yeah, I'm happy to have.
Is your boy in Colorado trying to get it from you?
We've talked. It's just still, it's
a lot. I understand. It's a lot of money.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
it's just absolutely freaking beautiful, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
Man, there's nothing cooler than freaking studio scale models, dude. Dang, man.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Beautiful. So now we got to what everyone's been waiting for, all our watchers. Let's look at the Enterprise first.
Oh yeah. I just hope they haven't gone to sleep by now.
I know.
It's Saturday night.
Oh yeah, our viewers will be on here sometimes 3-4
grab another beer.
Yeah, they're faithful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so this was that Jim Key custom replicas model. It took me about a year to build this.
Those things turn on the top, right?
They absolutely do. Yeah.
They flicker.
I took this out to Wonderfest one year. Actually, it was kind of neat to be able to get it out there. And I've been to a couple other conventions with George Takei. Got to see it, and some other people loved it. But yeah, this thing's 66 inches. So 5.5 feet long, and just absolutely beautiful replica model kit that just took a lot of labor to get it to this final point. But it's pretty neat. And also in the hands of the same collector I was telling you about. He loves his Star Trek. And so I'm so glad that, my stuff can go to a good home. and back in the young. See, look at that. Not a gray model or face anymore there.
Man, I love that.
Yeah, isn't that great though?
Nice
It's a
too.
gorgeous.
What a great base too.
Yeah, the
man.
base looks awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
Joseph ought to be liking these. I know he's got a few studio Star Trek ones as well.
And then we have, and I know we actually have one that we haven't revealed yet, right? I know I've been going through this.
We can do that one pretty quick though, right at the end
Okay.
there. We'll just knock out this one and then
All right. Let's get these. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
So that takes up a good chunk of my basement.
I love the fact that you're wearing a Star Wars shirt.
You caught that, huh?
Yeah.
We just need Joseph and Afaf to be standing there in their little costumes.
Right?
Yeah. Our buddy and his wife.
Anyone's welcome to come visit me anytime and get pictures and stuff. But this was
you're super classy, Sean. You've always said that too, man.
This was last summer during COVID. I built that Kirk chair many years ago and just, always wanted to have a Kirk chair. And then during COVID, I had a little more time on my hands. And I was like, well, I need to have a communication station to go with the Kirk chair. So this was just kind of the progress. My wife thought I was nuts, bringing lumber into the basement and building stuff. And it just, that's
Does it go with the house when you sell it or what?
So I'm not going to lie to you. That was the only thing because I'm impatient. I just build. I literally built a ship in a bottle. That would have to be cut up to get it out of my basement.
Yeah, for sure. That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
It came out pretty good though. The final. Yeah.
I don't know if any of the viewers have seen in my gallery. I had these little panels that were in these are screen accurate parts in these panels, and Sean built those for me in the gallery.
Nice.
So, and he did a fantastic job. And I know he doesn't really commission out a lot, but I was really lucky that we were going back and forth, and he's like, man, I'll make them for you. And he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's nice.
Yeah, man. No, thank you.
But yeah, these are I literally was so crazy with this though, where I would go and get screenshots, right, and freeze frame, and I literally matched every one of those colors. And there's variations, in that upper left of a darker red and a lighter red. I literally matched every one of those button colors. It's just crazy.
You did not.
I did. We'll compare it to an episode.
And what are these buttons made? Like, did you have to make them out of resin, or what is it?
So those buttons, I don't know if you've heard the story, but in the original show, those buttons were ice cubes. They used these mini ice cube trays and they poured resin into them. And so that's exactly what it is. It's resin in little ice cube trays. And that's all they did. And then the round guys are just little buttons. They're little domes. But yeah, it's just fun. It's, you come down to the basement and get to see that.
Look at that shot right there with the paint and everything. Did you paint the walls on purpose like that?
I did. Yeah. Yep.
What a great job, man.
Thanks. Yeah. It's all done, all hand painted here and in the basement. I mean, it was just everything I did. I had to do in here, put stuff on the carpet so I wouldn't get paint on the carpet. Yeah. But it was, it was great. It was a lot of fun.
Man.
You gotta get a Death Star right here blowing up.
Right. Hey, that's not a bad idea.
All right.
Tie it all in.
And they actually have that asymmetrical, a lot of people don't realize too, like those screens, if you notice, it's lower, it's not centered. If you ever watch the show, those screens are much lower to the bottom of that, rectangle than the top. They actually have that weird kind of offset spacing.
Wow.
So yeah, so that was a fun little thing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
So real quick on the bottom, like the platform on that bottom, that black, is that like a vinyl that you put on top of wood? What is that?
They used carpet. It's just
that's carpet.
Fine carpet. Yeah, they used a dark gray carpet on the original.
Jeez.
Yep. They actually used a light gray and a dark gray. So that main ring for all those stations was the darker gray. And then the center area was a lighter gray carpet. And they eventually wound up putting it over Kirk's chair in like season 2 and 3 because he was scuffing, his boots would scuff it so much. They wound up putting carpet over that platform.
Oh,
Yeah, that's crazy.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you for sharing all these with us too.
Yeah,
Like,
no, thank you.
Yeah, man, you're unbelievable talent.
yeah. I mean, Michael and I always kind of talk about this because Michael gets overly excited when it's like studio scale stuff.
I do not.
Yes, he does. And I'm, and I love studio scale, but it's just that's not what I collect, right?
Sure.
So a lot of times I'm like, okay, yeah, let's talk about studio scale. But honestly, like I end up geeking out sometimes more than Michael because I'm just like, oh my god, and I'm learning so much, and it's just like.
He did that with Jason Eaton's deal last week. He's like, I'm like, dude, he's getting this is a Lucasfilm deal. He's, and he's like, yeah. And then he sees it. He goes, hey, did you know that this is from Lucasfilm? I mean, this is a big deal. I go, I know, bro. I'm trying to tell you. And we've been trying to get Sean on. And Sean, you're the best, man. And we appreciate you taking the time to come on our show. And even afterwards, he was telling me this morning, man, I've been back watching all the Collection Wars. I really enjoy your show. And that was really cool. Thanks for your time.
You guys are great. This has just been a pleasure, and I know you guys are going to do amazing. Going forward too.
Thank you for that, Sean.
Appreciate it.
It's just going to keep
so,
going.
Sean, you're working on a current project, right?
Yes.
All right. Let's share.
How many people know of this now?
Yeah. Let's see.
I think two people, maybe 3 or 4 people know about this right now. But this is the first time I'm letting people know this is my next big studio project. So this is kind of the beginnings of it. I'm using a bit of that 3D printing technology now though, right? The resin printer to get that kind of that bottom platform and all that. But so that's the
and there's going to be people all over the world, and I'm saying all over the world. Bam! Look at that thing right there.
And there we go. So the Princess Leia's ship, the blockade runner. This is a full studio scale, about 7 feet long. Again, using all the parts, but this is where it looks as of today. I mean, I'm still just kind of building through it. I got to still build the entire engine section, but this is a big project. This is really big. And once again, thanks to a wonderful group of friends that have helped to get identifications and kits out there. And I got to point out too, again, this is back to the basic structure. Again, is Charles Adams and Steve Nyson designing, kind of get me started to get, if you will, the foundation of this thing together, right? So they help me with the blueprints, and then I go out. I have printed everything. I've collected all the tubes, and I've 3D printed my own. All those tubes you see in the back there, those 6-inch tubes, all that I'm constructing myself. But again, it was those guys with their wonderful blueprints that have helped get me here.
Did Steve know that you were building the studios version?
He does, yeah. He's like I said, because he helped get me going on the blueprints.
Awesome.
And then everything else, these parts that are coming from.
He's good with reference. That's awesome.
Yeah, so this is going to be amazing when this thing's done. I hope maybe we'll come back, get a chance to do a premiere when it's all painted up.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely, please.
Yeah.
Is this are you planning on taking this to Wonderfest?
If I get it done, it should be done by Wonderfest.
Is that your goal? Is that your goal?
It is. What you see in the picture, that's my goal to get to Wonderfest, is the Star Destroyer, the Falcon, and this. That would be the trifecta to get to Wonderfest.
Wow. It's a lot of moving.
It is.
Yeah.
So you can still see there's that whole, that massive engine section, and that's what I got to get started on next. And this, what you see there, has already been 3.5 months of work. So that engine section is probably going to be equally that much time to finish. But yeah. Thanks for sharing that, though. That's
thank you for sharing. That's so cool. So just a little piece of history on this. So you said that the blockade runner that we see at the beginning is the smaller one, right?
Yeah.
So when do we see this? Is it kind of when?
So great. So if you kind of think in your head that sequence, right? The opening sequence is we see kind of from a back view the blockade runner comes over our head, and that's the small model, and then you briefly see the Star Destroyer go overhead. And then, I'm sorry, I take it the other way. It's coming at us. It's coming at us, and then that's it because it was just too big in this scale to film. But then that very next sequence, we're now looking over the blockade runner, and that big antenna dish you see there, that thing's slowly spinning, and then the Star Destroyer blast hits this model, and there's that
That's
big
an
explosion,
an
and that is this
R2
big model. Exactly. So that's the transposition between the small model and this. So, you know, they do all this amazing, beautiful labor of love, and you just get that few moments of that explosion. And then I think there's one more sequence where they shot this from a long shot when it's going to go and dock underneath the landing bay. You know, that would have been this model as well.
Did they pyro that thing? Did they blow that one up?
They did not. In fact, that was a surface explosion, and we've got some reference pictures right about in that triangle below the antenna that you literally see the burned skin. I mean, but it was like black powder. So, you know, black powder is not explosive where it's going to damage it. It just did some surface burning. So the model stayed completely intact. And then, of course, they rebuilt it again in Return of the Jedi. So they made some major enhancements and changes to it for Jedi. But no, the model never pyroed. It was always intact and then rebuilt. And then it went on that Magic of Myth tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So,
yeah, I think I might have grabbed some pictures of that as well. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, that's where we're at, and that's going to be taking up the rest of this year, I think.
Man.
Yeah, and on the colors, I noticed on some of the colors in the movie, because Mike's building me. He's had it for a couple of years now. He's got a 4-foot blockade runner. I don't know which kit that is. You might be familiar with that kit, but
probably maybe a Randy Cooper.
Maybe no, it's not the Randy Cooper. It's bigger than the Randy Cooper.
Okay.
But anyways, whoever it is, he's got it and he's had it for a while. But we keep finding other projects to work on.
Sure.
But I noticed that there's a red version color, and then there's some that are more orangey.
Yep. So the orangey is the Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
And then there's also like some little windows up there. Remember in that the ragtag ship that I was showing you too that had those eagle windows. They actually did windows kind of like that in Return of the Jedi. So they modified that back, the spine we call it, and then they did the paint orange. In this version of the original I'm doing, it was that red. It was the Star Wars red, Gabe. Star Wars red, you know, yeah. So
it's funny. Or like the hypo blue, right?
That's right. Hypo blue. Oh my gosh.
Blue. Oh my.
I didn't have it in me to go through the trouble to try to mix that blue, man. I wound up finding some GM, really nice Honda blue or something.
That's exactly what I did. I used the GM.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called, but Saturn blue. I forgot what it was.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but they still look good. But you didn't have to go to that trouble of making a hypo blue.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Well, Sean, man, it's been a pleasure. I mean, honestly, like you're such a cool guy, and obviously your collection's amazing.
Thanks,
I know we went a little over, and I appreciate you.
I told Sean, beware, dude. It kind of happens sometimes.
You called that. That was absolutely right.
I told you.
Thank you guys, and congratulations on this show and just your 1,000 users, and just it's going to keep going up from there. I think word's going to spread, and thanks for sharing this hobby with so many people in this medium that hardly anyone else has done. And like I said, you guys impressed me catching up with all the people you've interviewed. I'm definitely going to keep up with this show, watching it every week. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely,
appreciate
Sean.
it. Thank you so much, Sean.
All right.
So Michael, any final words?
Just that, I'm once again, Sean, you're my friend. I'm glad to call you friend, and you're such a humble, cool dude, and giving shout outs to where credit is due to all these other people with reference and everything. You're just very humble, and thank you for doing that. People really do appreciate that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, man, always good talking to you too, Sean.
You too, and you guys come out to Colorado anytime. You let me know, and this is open for you.
Sounds good. Well, I guess the next time we see you on the show will be with a finished piece of,
Absolutely. And you're welcome back anytime, Sean, even just to come on and talk Star
Bullshit.
Wars.
What we need to do is bring all you guys on,
Yeah, let's do like a panel or something. I think
the funnest. Yeah.
The thing is, though, is we got to get, I'm telling you, I've got to get Salzo on. I mean, that's like, we bring him up almost every damn show, and he's such a behind the scenes kind of guy. He doesn't want people, and he's the most humble guy I've ever met in my whole life. Period.
Well, I know that 8-foot Star Destroyer takes up a lot of space for him too. So all you got to do is when you go to pick it up, just say, Mike, I'm not taking this till you get on the show.
Yeah.
He's going to have to give it up. So he's going to have to get on the show.
Man, have you seen those pictures? He's using like floor jacks and stuff to move this damn thing around, dude.
Yeah, amazing. Awesome,
And I know we didn't talk a lot about this, and I want to just real briefly say that I am, and I think I told Sean, but I am also picking up the Cylon base star. And for the
very
people that don't know the base star, Sean had his fingers in the initial creation of this model that I'm picking up, which that's an honor as well.
Yeah,
so.
we'll have to show you that too next time. That's also the collector, but that's a wonderful, wonderful model. I know Salzo's going to kick butt for you on that too.
Yeah, he's got a few more panels to do. I think he's jumping off of that, and I mean, 30 days to go. You know, that guy is something else. So.
Awesome, cool. Well, enjoy it, guys. Thank you again. Really appreciate it. 2 big thumbs up for you guys.
Thank you so much,
Sean.